What's up, y'all? This is J. Cole, Cold Fucking World, and this is a Loudspeakers production.
Get ready for combat.
No escaping.
Get ready for combat. Get ready for combat.
Yeah. The Combat Jack Radio Show. Stand up.
Internets, you tune into the Combat Jack Show, the combatjackshow.com.
Cheer.
This is a special episode, Internets. And originally it wasn't supposed to be, but as always, this episode is sponsored by Bevel. When I heard that J. Cole was coming on the Combat Jack Show, I hit up the homie Tristan Walker, CEO of Bevel. And it's only right that Bevel sponsored this episode. But this is something a little different, man. This is something for you loyal listeners or for you quick listeners. Listen, the first 150 listeners who go to getbevel.com off this show will get their first month free. Not just the supplies, everything free. Go to getbevel.com. Punch in free combat, FREECOMBAT, to get your first month of Bevel free and shave like a king.
Cheer.
Stop fucking around. Internets, we got J. Cole.
I need that check.
We got J. Cole. That's what Rick Ross said.
I need that Bevel check right there.
That's what Rick Ross said. But we'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about
You gotta
that.
reintroduce Cole, man.
Oh, my
No. It's J. Cole. It's J. Cole, album of the year.
Wow.
2014,
Yes,
Forest
sir.
Hill Drive, album of the year. Listen,
yes, sir.
I'm so mad because at the end of last year, I was part of a roundtable, Al Lindstrom Complex roundtable. It was me, Charlemagne,
Jeff Sledge, Jason Rodriguez, Joe LaPuma.
Jay LaPuma. That's it? No, and
you.
B-Dot from
And
Red
B-Dot,
Radar.
and B-Dot, yeah.
And we were talking about all these albums and all these artists and MVP and come up with this and that. And we made our choice. And then your fucking album drops 2 weeks later.
Never know, man. Don't jump the gun.
2 weeks, but it was the end of the year.
Nah, you're right.
They should have edited it.
So I call Al Lindstrom. I say we got to do something. He's like, yo, it's already been edited. It's probably yo J. Cole, man. Welcome to the Combat
Thank
Jack
you, man.
Show, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's all good, man. I'm used to not really making those lists, man. So it's cool.
You used to it?
You're making your own rules. Don't worry about
man.
that
It's
shit.
cool. I'll take your word for it. Thank you,
No,
man.
please take my word for it, man.
I appreciate that.
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling incredible, dog. I'm feeling amazing. Like, blessed, relaxed, you know what I mean? Happy. It's cool.
A lot of things are happening for you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'm looking on the landscape, and I'm doing a lot of research for this interview, and I noticed, man, you didn't do, up until this point, a lot of press for this album.
No, I didn't. And I struggle with it because it's like, I don't know what everything that I'm going to do. Like, basically, I want to keep it limited, but I don't want the album to die out how my other albums did. I kind of gave up on them quick in terms of promotion because I put so much into them. And then we had a single working for months, and by the time the album comes out, it's like, all right, we shoot another video, and then I'm on to the next one. On this one, I want to give it its proper, it deserves it. I want to give it its proper thing. But I also want to balance not being too overexposed and like, you know, I never felt like the guy that's like, if they ain't talking about me, I ain't relevant.
Right.
Let me go do an interview so they talk about me, or let me put out a song. So I'm trying to balance promoting the album with not overdoing it, still keeping some sort of like
balance,
right, and not overdoing it, basically.
But is it possible in this day and age to be oversaturated in terms of promoting somebody's album or somebody's work? Because we live in such an information age that even if you're not trying to be in the spotlight, you're gonna be in the spotlight anyway. So you might as well do it yourself.
Nah, you're right. I guess another thing is, man, I did so much. Like people. When the warm-up dropped, that was 2009, June. I was doing interviews from June, July about my first album. I mean, every month, every week, it was a new interview, wrap up, Double XL, The Source, boom, boom, talking about my first album. I'm talking about every day it was a new video interview up.
Right.
I was tired of seeing them. Like, yo, my man, like, y'all tell me we got to do another video interview, and the label, it's like, yeah, we got this, trust me, it's good. So my album didn't drop till 2 years later. So, man, I was talking about my first album for like 2 years. So that plus 2 years after, I've done a ton of interviews. So I'm almost
burnt out.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I have reached a point in my life where it's like, I'm cool. I'm much more of an open person now. So interviews are more fun. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm still weary. Like, yo, I don't ever want to go back to that place where it's like mad interviews.
Right.
It's like, come on, man. It's like, leave something to the imagination.
Right. Well, we're honored, man, that you decided.
I had to do this, by the way. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Exactly, man.
I want people to know because I'm sure y'all got a great base and y'all do great work.
Thank you.
But I'm sure some people that's listening to this now because they're like, oh, Cole on there. It's like some younger kids that might not ever peep this. I want to let everybody know, like, this is not even nice. This is an amazing foundation. The thing you're listening to right now, the work y'all do in terms of history and respect and like bringing these stories to the forefront that like my generation needs to hear, the generation under me needs to hear, y'all generation needs to hear. It's like this. So I want people to know I've been listening to your program for a minute. My man Felton put me on. I've been listening for a while, and I want people that follow me. If you don't already know, I want them to do the same thing because y'all do amazing work. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, your mom's inspired you to grow your hair. I heard your mom's inspired you to grow your hair. Let's talk about that.
Not particularly. She didn't tell me to do it. When I was younger, she would always want me to be that kid, like the artsy kid with his hair out. So it's not like she told me early in the year, like, yo, grow your hair out.
Right, but indirectly she influenced
you. Her wish came true because I reached a point in my life where I'm like, I couldn't have, my hair is a mess, bro. Like, I'm aware, but I love it. And people tell me a lot, like, yo, you're looking rough. Like, what you doing with that? And I get it. But I'm also at that point in my life where I wasn't at 4 years ago, 3 years ago, where it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm very confident walking out the crib with my shit looking crazy.
Well, when you got the album of the year, you really...
Nah, it was before that.
Okay.
It was before that, but that helps too.
Right.
Like, the mind state that allowed me to make that album is the same mind state that allows me to walk around with my hair looking fucked up in society standards. You know what I mean?
What's that mind state, man?
I'm just blessed and nothing can go wrong. There is no right or wrong. Like, that's in a song I got called Apparently, but it's like everything is supposed to happen the way it happens. And it's like I have no, I'm wasting time by stressing over shit, especially when I'm so blessed and I got all these blessings around me. You know what I mean? That's the mind state. It's like, yo, this shit don't matter. My hair ain't cut. It don't fucking matter. That's not real. That's not reality that I gotta have the clean Caesar with the shape up and the edge up and I gotta keep this fresh so I look presentable. It's like, nah, that actually doesn't matter. That's, it's like my happiness is the only thing that matters. Do I feel good? Do I feel comfortable? I've been wearing this outfit 3 fucking days. Does it feel comfortable? Cool.
he doesn't. Internet. He don't smell.
Nah,
he doesn't smell.
I mean, it might be. No, I'm playing. But that's really my mind state. Right. It's like, yo, I'm rocking with these kicks. I'm rocking with these pants. Like, I like this. I'm gonna just thug this out for like 3-4 days.
So you're in a comfortable state of mind.
In a comfortable place, man.
You're in a comfortable state of being.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny, man. I was in listening to your interviews, and one of the things that jumps out is you keep talking about appreciation.
Yeah.
You keep talking about appreciation. And one of my friends, very successful business dude, he came from nothing to everything. But he's very centered. And I ask him, man, I'm like, how did you get this? And he's like, every day, appreciation. Talk about how you came to this point in your journey, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to make it seem like I'm no type of guru because it's a battle every day.
Right.
When you grow up.
But that's what it's supposed to be.
For sure. When you grow up with a certain mentality that's taught to you by family, society, the television, anything that we come into contact with, you develop a habit and you develop just a state of being. And once you live life and realize that might not have been the way or there's a better way to get you newer results and to feel better, it's one thing to like come to that realization and it's another thing to put it in practice. The putting it in practice is the hard part.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. So where I'm at right now is still trying to put it in practice. I got good days, I got bad days. I got days where I forget. But the thing that I learned, or one of the things that I learned is that appreciation is everything. It's like life could be both beautiful and ugly depending on how you look at it. You know what I mean? It could be both hard and
heaven and hell. Heaven and hell is right here.
It's all within us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like the devil is in us.
Yes.
And God is in us. Like all of these things are within us. It's just what we choose to, how we choose to view it. It's the decisions we make. It's the things we decide to do. But I realized that, okay, by deciding to appreciate what I got and the relationships that I do have and putting value on these things, my life gets way more enjoyable and I'm way more content with things that I should be content with. And I'm not stressing about things that absolutely shouldn't be stressing me. You know what I mean?
And what I hear also is when you're really at this high state of appreciation, not only do you need less, but the universe responds and gives you more. Do you find that?
For sure. I believe that 100% with my heart. Like when the minute you stop holding on to that attachment, that's what really gets us, is the attachment. Attachment to things and to wants and desires. That's what gets us. That's what really holds us. That's where all suffering really comes from, whether it's a relationship. Why do you have suffering because of this relationship? Because you had an expectation, an attachment to an idea of how you wanted this thing to go. Instead of just like, yo, I love this person. I love and appreciate the time we have right now in this moment. No, because we're taught to put expectations on this relationship. I now, because this is going good for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, I now expect that you're going to ask me to marry you. And I now expect that you're going to be a faithful husband. I now expect that so you have all of these expectations in your mind. So the minute something goes wrong and you don't get that, it's pain. It's, no, it's tears, it's hate, it's bitterness, because what you expected didn't come to fruition. But that was your expectation that did you wrong.
That was your expectation.
Your attachment to that expectation, which God might not have been in the plans. That might not have been in the cards. You know what I mean?
Yo, it's funny, man, because like on a smaller scale, it's like whenever we're going out with my crew or something like that, and they're like, yo, who's gonna be there? How's it? I'm like, yo, man, I just want to get there because when I don't want to expect this, I just want to get there. And so the concept of appreciation, of happiness, man. Do you find yourself living more moment to moment? Because that's really what a full life is about, living moment
for sure.
to moment.
When I'm at my best,
right.
When I feel my best, when I feel like I'm the best me, best representation of me, I'm absolutely enjoying the moment, and I'm present, and I'm appreciating what's happening right now. Whoever I'm with, relationship, family, friends, whatever's happening, I'm in that moment. When I'm not at my best, when I'm at my worst, I'm worried about the future or worried about something I did in the past or worried about this, that I'm living somewhere else. You know what I mean? I'm living in, oh shit, what's this album going to do? Oh man, they're not going to let me, okay. You know what I mean? I'm somewhere else.
You're somewhere else.
And while I'm somewhere else mentally, I can't possibly be right here.
Right.
I can't possibly be appreciating you because I'm over here. And I'm telling you because I went through that. When I was at my brokest and before the deal and we was trying to get on, bro, I was so happy. And even though I was living in the future, I was living so hopeful in the future.
Right.
I had faith. It was hope and faith. It was like, yo, I know.
You were appreciating that journey.
I was appreciating the journey because I was sure of what was to come. And then somewhere along the line, in the midst of all the pressure and boom, boom.
You got the attachments.
The attachments to expect. Oh, no, but I wanted to go like this.
Right.
Oh, no. And that led to like, frustration. Oh, but what if? Or what if I ain't really what they say? Oh man, what if I ain't? You know what I mean?
And 9 out of 10, you're creating the worst scenarios.
You're just spinning it into a cycle that's going to be very hard to break out of. You know what I mean?
You're renting space in your head that don't even need to be there.
For sure.
But I'm telling you, even when you say you appreciate the journey, it's so important. People, especially like you, making things and creating things, to admire that journey, because some people work so hard and it passes them up. But I also believe that as you're getting older, you know, that you turn out to appreciate the little things in life as you get older, as you didn't when you were younger.
For sure.
You know, do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. I told it was Steve Stout, actually. We went to he invited me to this, it was like Serena Williams US Open or something, and I went. And I usually don't even do things like that, like the business meetings, and it wasn't really a business
meeting. Did he give you the scarf
like,
hands, or he gave you a hand?
I don't know what that means.
Scarf hands, like when somebody shake your hands and it's like, scar. It's like silk.
Yeah, I know, I get it, but wow, is that something he does?
I mean, I've gotten some.
Yo, you got it? Okay, nah, it wasn't that.
Okay.
But I told him basically, like, he was asking me some questions, and I was just letting him know, like, yo, I would have answered you differently 2 years ago.
Right.
He was like, where are you? Who are you in this game? Like, I see it. Like, Drake is like this. Kendrick is like this. And it's like, I'm trying to place you. Who are you? And I'm like, you know what? 2 years ago, I would have answered that question.
You would have tried to figure
it
out.
It would have been a stupid answer, but it would have been like, because I would have been thinking about that. Like, I'm really like this. I'm like a hybrid of this and this and this, you know? And I had to tell him when he asked me that, I was like, oh, shit. You know what? Like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Like, I don't really know the answer to that question, and I don't really care to, like, answer it. Like, it's not important to me no more. That is not important to me no more. So a few more questions like that came around, and his point was, he was like, how old are you? I'm 29. He was like, that's why. And then he gave me the story about when he was 29 and he was at maybe Interscope or somewhere that he was at. He had to make a real big decision. And he made a crazy decision. People looked at him crazy. And he just came to know himself better when 30 hit. And he made a wild decision that everybody else in the industry looked at him like, yo, you're bugging. You were running black music. You know what I mean? You were like up there. And he was just like, yo, it's 30. He was like, I always say that's the age where you start to understand. And I felt him.
Oh, and you also decided like when I decided to walk away from the music industry, cats thought I was crazy. But I just had to let go of everything.
How old were you?
I was 40.
Wow.
Did you know he was a lawyer?
I did. I don't know a lot about the history, but I knew that part.
Nah, I mean, one of my first clients was Jay and Rockefeller and Dame, and we did everything with Diddy and the whole now. But it got to a point where it's like, yo, I'm not happy. The money's good.
What was it? What was not happy about it? Like, what was?
You know, it was the hustle was work. You know what I'm saying? The hustle was work. And
but isn't any hustle work?
No, listen, but what we're doing right now, I'm hustling harder and it's not work.
And you love it.
It's not work. You know what I'm saying?
But
it's
you know what's
effortless.
important? No, but you know what's
it's not
important?
easy. Hold up, P. It's not easy, but it's effortless, B. You know what I mean?
I feel you 100%.
But it's also for yourself. That's the thing too. I think like I'm not saying like, you know, when you were a lawyer, you also doing other things, but you had other people involved. Like
no, yeah,
this is a little bit more like you're really working for yourself.
And that and what Cole said, like Stout was saying, who are you? Where do you fit? We were those lawyers. We were that lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was that lawyer.
Right.
And after a while, it's like, yo, that's not who I am.
Right.
That's not who I want to be. And I felt confined in that box. You know what I mean?
That's real.
Yeah.
That's a big move.
And now, I mean, it's like I think I'm so much more effective where I'm at. I'm not making as much money as I make, but I'm happier, B. You know what I'm saying? And people can't understand that unless they go through that.
You can't put a price on that.
Nah, can't put a price
on happiness.
Because that's years of your life, by the way. That shit'll take years from you.
Yeah.
So who just told me that my man Elijah just sent me a quote from the Dalai Lama? Was it the Dalai? I hope I'm not saying it wrong. And they asked him, they said, what is your, I want to pull this shit up on my phone right now, but I'll try to not butcher it. They asked him, I believe it was the Dalai Lama. They said, what is your biggest question about life? Like, what is the biggest confusion you have about life or humanity?
Right.
And he said, man sacrifices their health to attain money, just to then sacrifice money to get back their health, right? And then there was a crazy part. Oh my God, it ended so ill and I'm gonna fuck it up. But it basically ended with him saying, everybody gotta look up the quote because I'm gonna butcher it, but it ended with him saying like, all of this fucking maze they go through just to find out when they die, they never really lived at all.
Right.
Which is, to your point, it's like you could have stayed at that job, made way more money.
I wouldn't be living.
You wouldn't be living.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be living. You would have missed it all.
Yep.
You're living right now because you love it.
Of course,
You
man.
in the moment.
Of
It's
course.
amazing.
Listen, let's go back to your past, man. Like, you're the first black person I heard say they lived in a trailer park. I didn't know. Was it the hood trailer park, man?
Yeah,
it was a hood
in
trailer
the South. In the South, especially in North Carolina,
Right.
it's like this. I can't speak for like Atlanta. I'm not from there, but
Right.
in North Carolina, it's like this. That was my first glimpse of the hood. This
Right.
is not Eminem 8 Mile. You know, like
It was grimy.
yeah, man, this shit was fucked up, man. This shit was fucked. I mean, no disrespect to
Right.
like people that's still in the trailers and shit, but that's what it is. It's like, you know, very affordable housing.
Right.
Very affordable.
Which is
housing.
essential, and you can't laugh at people.
No.
The state of people's housing.
No, laughing. I'm talking about the neighborhood we lived in. It was fucked up. It was
Like
fucked up.
what was going? I mean, you were.
I was a kid.
Yeah, you were
I was
a kid.
But it's the reason why it has such a big effect on me is because I was coming from somewhere else.
Right.
I was coming from a military base. My father was in the army. My mother was too. She got out when she had me.
You were born in Frankfurt.
Born in Germany.
Okay.
But before I was 1, we moved back to Fayetteville. Fort Bragg is
Right.
where we lived. My parents separated before I was even conscious. Like, they were never together while I was really alive. Like, after we moved back, they were separated. When they got divorced, we had to move out of the not the barracks, the military quarters.
Right.
Because you can only live there
If you're married.
which if you're married. And that's real nice housing. It's like a nice neighborhood. It ain't no mansions, but it's like
it's safe.
It's safe.
Talk about how it's
Everybody
safe.
got jobs. Everybody got benefits because they all in the army. So when I'm 4 years old, we have to move. And it's me, my brother, and my mother, and we moved to Spring Lake, which is like this, little outskirt area of Fayetteville or whatever. We moved to the trailer park at Spring Lake. It was my first taste of like, oh shit, like this is nothing like where we came from. You know what I mean?
And at 4 years old, man, like what do you know? But you knew the energy.
I knew the energy was not right, and I knew that my mother was the only white lady in the neighborhood, and there was no man in the house. And I was like, I could send the first time I went to the just to tell you the mind state of these kids, because they've been there. If they were 5 and I was 5, they've been there 5 years, and I've been there a year. So the mind state when I got there, when we first went to the playground, me and my brother. I mean, it seems like a silly story, but it's really potent to tell you the mind state of these kids, especially at that time. This was 1990. We go to the playground. My brother go off to like where the older kids his age was at. I go to where my kids was at. They was over by the slide. And I get to the slide, and it's like a group of like 6 little boys or whatever, my age, like 4 or 5. And I'm trying to get up and go to the slide. I'm just trying to really scope the scene. And they're like, yo, man, you trying to join our gang? And I was like, what I got to do?
They wouldn't let you on the slide.
You got to jump off the slide first. Then you could be a part of the gang.
You got to join the gang.
You got to join the gang.
And slide privileges.
Right, of course. Just to tell you the mind state. I'm like, yo, I ain't have to do this over there, man. I'm a jump.
Right.
Because I ain't no punk.
Right.
But I ain't never had to go through this. So that was my first taste of like, not just that, but like that's the first time anybody ever tried to break in the crib. First time I'm hearing gunshots at night. We ain't have to deal with that shit over in the other neighborhood.
And you could sense the stress. You could see the stress on your moms.
Nah.
Okay.
Not at that point. I couldn't. I was oblivious to that.
Right. But you felt the stress.
I felt it for her.
Right.
I felt like I was more aware of the danger than her. At 4 or 5 years old, I thought that she didn't know. And I thought that I had to be the person to like protect the house. I used to stand outside the house with the nunchucks. Like I had these little Ninja Turtle nunchucks.
Bruce Lee shit.
I had these Ninja Turtle nunchucks. But to me, when all the older dudes would walk by, they like 16, 17. In reality, they just minding their business.
Right.
In my mind, y'all niggas is looking at my crib.
Y'all are threats.
Y'all are threats.
Right.
So I'm standing outside the crib like with the nunchuck.
Were you nice?
And I mean, in my mind, I'm really one of the Ninja Turtles. I'm really one of the Ninja Turtles in my mind. But I'm staring at them and ice grilling anybody that walks by, basically saying like, don't think about coming in this fucking house because I got these. You know what I mean? So my point is to say my mentality even at 5 was like, my mom is oblivious of what this really is, but I know. And I know we really in trouble. You know what I mean? So that was like my first taste of like what the world was really like.
Yeah. You ever speak to your biological?
For sure. We got a good relationship. Yeah, for sure.
It's funny, man, like this album right now, in an indirect sense, your stepfather caused this album to happen.
Yeah, he did.
Let's talk about that, man.
Yeah. My stepfather, he came in on the scene when I was maybe in like 4th grade. Right. Pretty early in my life. Maybe 3rd grade, like pretty early. He was my mom's boyfriend, another dude in the Army. And we hated him. You know, like anybody. Yeah, me and my brother, we hated him because he was, you know, I mean, he was cool. That's the thing. We hated him, but he was cool as shit.
Why'd you hate him?
Because he was, he used to like, he was stiff. He was like a jerk, and he was like tough on us. You know what I mean? Like that, he was the disciplinarian. He was like, we was getting the whoopings from him.
Right.
Go get your switch. You know what I mean? This is like, that he was beating us with the switch. It wasn't nothing. I mean, in my eyes, we grew up in that era. Right. So it wasn't crazy. Now that I'm older, I'm like, damn, this man is not my father. Why he putting his hands on me?
Exactly.
But at the time, it didn't feel like that. It just felt like the man of the house, like disciplining kids or whatever. So that's why we didn't like him. But at the same time, there was an underlying like and respect for him because he was cool as shit. He was older. He was not older and like an old man, but he was like, you know, in his 20s, he knew, he had all the Ice Cube albums, Pac albums.
Okay.
Ice-T, he had the NW, he had Drake, Chronic, Crazy, Snoop. He had all the rap shit. He had system in his car. He always kept like a nice vehicle. He had like a 57 Chevy. Then he'll switch it up for the Nissan truck. Always keep a system. He had pit bulls. That's how we got on pit bulls. And my whole life we had pits was because of him.
Where's he from, man?
He's from Louisiana, small town Louisiana. But then he moved up with his pops in like Pontiac, Detroit, Michigan, which is hood. You know, it's super hood. So it's like,
that's a different breed of black man.
Different breed.
Yeah.
Some player shit. Like, you know what I mean? But from a southern, he's southern at heart, country nigga who went and got like some hustle from up north or whatever. Right. And then went and did the smart thing in military, got a stable job or whatever. So there was like an underlining like, Mom, don't marry this fucking dude. But it was also like he's cool as fuck at the same time. You know what I mean? So, but fast forward, him and my mom got married. Their combined incomes allowed us to move to a much better neighborhood than even where we was at. And we moved into Forest Hills Drive, which was like, you know, that shit was a mansion to me compared to where we was
I see
coming
the
from.
pictures. I mean, did it always look like that?
Yeah, I mean, and the inside wasn't this nice, but the outside was always like, you know, a very nice sight. Like green grass, you know, trees. There was actually more trees back then. Nice driveway. There's a carport. We had room in the back for the dogs. We the only black people in the neighborhood. Old, like my neighbors was literally like this 80-year-old white lady. Across the street was two sisters. They was both like 80-year-old white ladies. To the left was like 70-year-old white couple.
How'd that feel, man?
Oh, I knew he was out. I knew he wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
Like,
but did you take it like, yo, I'm here, motherfuckers?
Nah, it wasn't that attitude. It was more like, yo, we came up.
We came up.
Like, I ain't trying, you know, I don't know at any moment this could be gone.
Right.
I know we came up.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know that they've reached.
So it's appreciation.
It's appreciation.
Right.
Absolutely, because I got my own room. Me and my brother was sharing rooms before that. I got my own room. We got an upstairs down. It's like amazing feeling, man, to be in that place. You know what I mean? So basically, that was like my middle school and high school days was spent in that house. But the senior year of high school, right when I was about to graduate, this guy tells my mom he got put on assignment to go to Thailand. He tells her, you know, in the Army, it's like sometimes it's random.
Right.
Sometimes they just tell you you're going somewhere.
You get assigned and you
get
gotta
assigned.
go. Right.
So he told her, you know, that he got assigned. At this point, their relationship was falling apart. Now that I look back, I see all the moments that was, you know, telling me. But he tells her he got put on assignment. In actuality, he put himself on assignment to get the fuck out the house.
Right.
And he told her it was for 1 year. In reality, come to find out later, it was 2 years.
Right.
So basically, he pulled that maneuver to like get out of the relationship. That was his way out.
Right.
I mean, I guess he had a heart to really just end it off. He had to do it like in a slick way, which is whatever. Every man got to make his own decisions.
Right.
But the agreement was with him and my mom that he would make the mortgage payments while he was gone, because when you overseas in the Army and you're married and you got kids or whatever, a family, you get something called separation pay. So the Army will give you an extra $1,000, $1,500 per check or per month, because they taking you from your family.
And you got to cover it for your family.
Yeah, it's like, yo, we taking you from your family, here's extra. The Army will do that for you. So the agreement was between him and my mom, yo, you getting this extra check. This is, you know, parents, two adults, they split the bills up. So you make the mortgage payments, I got this, that, and the third.
Right.
He goes away, and I go to college at the end of the summer. Through the Wire is the soundtrack for that summer, by the way. That was like 2003. He had just dropped that video. I just remember that because I used to watch that video a lot, every day. I go away to college. About a month into college, I get a call from my mom, and she tells me, hey, I just, you know, she's distraught. You know, I could tell she don't even want to tell me because she don't want to bother me. Like, she don't want to feel like she's putting stress on her son in college.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, just to let you know, I got a notice in the mail that the mortgage payment has been made in like 3 months. It's $3,200. I don't got that type of money. No, it was 4 months. $3,200. I can't make it. I don't know what to do. So she just, you know, so she got the news right there that A, the mortgage payments haven't been made, and B, she knows that her relationship is over in that moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like she understands that she got
blindsided.
She got blindsided. Yeah, she got blindsided like that. So it's the ultimate realization of both of those things. One, I'm losing this house because I ain't got that type of money to pay this. And two,
this relationship is
this
dead.
Relationship
just
is
died.
dead.
Right.
Yeah, it just died. So ultimately, that's how that house ended up getting foreclosed, like, you know, a month or two after that. And she just packed up everything and moved out the house and got her own little apartment. And so that's how we ended up back here in the year 2014.
Right,
I bought back the house.
What year did you buy the house?
This year. This
year.
Summer.
Now,
Yeah.
who'd you buy it from? Who was somebody?
I don't even know who owned it. I don't know who owned it. I never met the person. I
Right.
had my homeboy who does real estate down there, like, handle it for me. All I knew was, because I've been looking into buying it for a while, A, my money wasn't really at the level to where I could just buy it like that. And B, it was always somebody in it.
Right.
It was always somebody in it.
But that was the house that you fell in love with.
For sure.
That was the best time of your childhood.
Definitely. Yeah, Lewis Street was amazing too. But this was when I grew into my own as like what I wanted to really dream about and like become was in that house.
You started rapping in that house?
I fell in love with the art of rapping in that house. and really
Started producing in that house?
producing in that house. I fell in love with all of these things in that house.
Wet dreams in that house?
Wet dreams in that house. Not
Smash-
in the house.
smash-
But
that was the
you
time.
thinking about the wet.
You word up. Yeah, wet dreams in the house.
right.
Yeah, right.
Some pornos in the house.
Pornos all over the house.
Hey, easy. Let's not go there.
Okay.
Let's not go there. Pete.
and some of his most appreciation at the house. I'll tell you, it's funny that you were able to buy because you said your neighbor was 70, 80. I was figuring some of them died over there. You got so many old people there.
The I know the lady directly next door definitely passed, but I ain't really know her like that. The two ladies across the street, really nice ladies. They were sisters, and I know they passed too. It's a cool family that lives there right
So
now. Another black family that lives over there now.
Do you really live there?
Nah, I don't live there. What we're gonna do is we still working it out right now because it's obviously a detailed situation that I don't want to play with. It's a fragile situation I don't want to play with. But my goal is to have that be a haven for a family. So every 2 years, a new family will come in and they live rent free. So the idea is it's a single mother with multiple kids, and she's coming from a place where all her kids is sharing a room. She might have 2-3 kids, they sharing a room. She gets to come here rent free. I want her kids to feel how I felt when we got to the house. Like, yo,
that's dope, man. Because I was wondering, like, yo, why you put your address on the album of the year?
Yeah. People could be showing up there next month.
By the way, tell people to stop going to my house and sitting on my roof and taking pictures.
Are they doing that?
And they still in the fucking street sign. They're taking pictures.
Yo, is there a Tumblr? That'd be a great Tumblr. Is that a Tumblr?
No, it doesn't need to be a Tumblr.
Yo, that would be a great Tumblr, though. Come on, man.
Nah.
Wait,
y'all got to stop that. I'm not encouraging that.
Nah, for real, because I'm going to shoot.
Wait,
So
they're going on top of the roof?
They send it to you?
I've seen it. People showing me pictures.
Yo.
Of people.
We got a PSA that, listen, internets, get the fuck up off of the roof.
Yeah.
You're going to fuck the drainage up over there. All the fucking problems. We don't need no issues like
We
that.
got
This
pistols
guy's
in the
a
crib,
first-time
man.
homeowner. Come on.
So when did it hit you that I got to do an album?
December of 2013. About almost exactly a year before the album came out.
Right.
It'd be crazy if it was a year before on the dot, which would be amazing. And it might be because I could look at the schedule and see. I was in Germany at the time. I was on tour. And I looked at the date and I was just like, oh man, I know New Year's is about to come. You know, every time New Year's approaches, you always think to yourself like, damn, that's crazy. It's about to be. And then you say the date. Oh, it's about to be 1999. Oh, it's about to be 2005. That's crazy. And I was like, yo, it's crazy. It's about to be 2014. And as soon as I said it, the light bulb went off in my head. And I just knew that this was the time. I mean, the thought came so fast, everything. This is the year you buy the house back. That's the name of the album. This is boom, 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 boom. I knew it right away at that moment. I never made an album like this or a project like this before, by the way, which is where I went into it knowing the name, knowing a rough concept, and had no music. Not a word, not a beat, not a nothing. You know what I mean? I never did it like that. So
in one instant, you got this sense of realization.
I remember where
this
I was
enlightenment.
At. Yes. It was a true light bulb moment where my whole head just like expanded.
Was you burning something? Or?
Nah, I wasn't burning shit. I was at the back of the bus. I think I maybe just got off the stage or something and was just thinking, like, damn, it's about to be 2014. Ding. Boom. Oh, shit. I was like, yo, this is the time. I knew it. Because 2014 was always my favorite number based on that house.
Right.
You know, when you have your
mine is 1127.
Right. So when you have your ATM
I was just
when you have your you better
I gotta change my shit.
I was just gonna say that.
God damn it.
So voicemail password, all of that shit. That was mine. It's not no more. So niggas don't even think about getting in my shit. But that was my number.
Right.
2014.
Right.
So when I said it, I was like, yo, this is it. It's God. You know what I mean? It's too perfectly lined up. That's what it's got to be.
How much of a battle was it to get this album out in 2014?
Battle?
Yeah.
It wasn't a battle, man. It was just. It was close. It wasn't a battle, but it just came down to the.
How close was it, man? Like,
I mean, we cut it close. There was samples that was not cleared until the samples and finishing. For me, finishing is a hard thing. I'm like a perfectionist tweaker. You know what I mean? So that's.
You started recording it in March.
In March or April, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, in L.A.
And the concept is what's the full concept of the album?
Full concept. You know the inspiration. It's buying back the house.
Yes.
But that's what inspired the album. But the concept of the album, I wrote it as if it was a soundtrack to a movie that only exists in my head. So imagine this, Lion King. It's random as fuck, but if you listen to the Lion King soundtrack right now and you've never seen the movie, you could pretty much follow what's happening in the movie from the songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he just can't wait to be the king, this, that, and third. But you can follow that movie plot through the songs. I made the album as if it was a movie that existed in my head, and this was the soundtrack.
Okay.
And the plot of that movie is real simple to sum up. Small town kid, could be Fayetteville, could be Montgomery, could be Birmingham, could be Nashville. Any place that's not New York City or LA or somewhere that's like full of opportunity or like, you know, something that we ain't used to.
Right.
He got dreams to be a movie star. Where do you want to go? Hollywood. So he moves to Hollywood when he turns 18, 19. All his homeboys back home like, damn, he went to Hollywood. This nigga's crazy. Like, because just to go
You made it.
You made it. I
right.
know that because when I came to New York for college, when I went back home, niggas was like, yo, I see you in New York doing your thing. Like, you don't know what the fuck I'm doing in New York. You just know I went, which is a big thing when you come from a small town. So he goes to Hollywood and wants to be an actor, wants to be a movie star. But when he gets there, he realized, yo, this shit ain't as easy as I thought.
I'm on the bottom of the totem
I'm
pole.
at the bottom of the totem. I'm a black man in Hollywood.
Right.
I can't, there ain't no roles for me if it ain't the thug on Law and Order,
Pimp.
if it's not the pimp, if it's not the gangster, if it's not some bullshit role. This ain't-
The cop lieutenant. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right. This is some it's not opportunity out here for me. And on top of that, to make it so bad, this shit don't feel right out here. This shit don't feel right. I'm looking around, this shit don't feel right. Like, this shit feel weird out here. So there's a moment in the movie where there's a point where he could either lose it, slip, and just become one of them people that live in Hollywood right now and just satisfied
lost.
with their life, lost. But he catches himself and he learns, nah, this ain't real.
There's something better.
It's something better. This ain't real. And that something better was right where the fuck I just came
Like
from.
the Lion King.
Like
Just
the
like the Lion King.
King.
Exactly.
Just like the
He was
fucking
always
Lion King.
royalty. He was
Simba,
always it was
man.
right there. Yeah.
Young Simba, dog.
Yeah. That's crazy. You taking it back too.
Classic.
Taking it back.
Word up.
It's funny when I heard the record Wet Dreams, man. Yeah, I mean, the title is provocative, man, but it's such an innocent record, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And what I appreciate about it is, in my 40s, I'm like, it took me back
yeah.
to my first time.
Thank
You know
you,
what I mean?
man. Yeah.
And I just love that it was magical that you could take me back to that point. You know, my son just turned 18 yesterday. It took me back to like, what is he going through? And he don't really tell me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he had his wet dream or not. But it put me in his life.
Right.
Like, what is he going through? And what I love about the album, man, is I think timing is everything. You talk about the timing, putting it out in 2014. But when your album came out, man, it was Ferguson. It was Black Lives Matter. It was all these protests. And we don't hear music, particularly in hip hop, we don't hear music as a perfect soundtrack for what's going on. I think maybe because this generation hasn't really lived through turbulent times like we're living through right now.
That's real.
But I think your album, and I tweeted this several times, man, I thought your album was the perfect soundtrack for everything that happened in 2014, man.
Thank you, man. That's major compliment. I appreciate that. And it obviously I couldn't predict when I started working in March what would happen.
No, you couldn't predict none of that.
You can't predict that, but I do believe in God, and I believe that things line up how they're supposed to. You know what I mean? And I believe that my small role was meant to be. You know what I mean? Like that was meant to happen. And then not that it's over, because I want to be a vessel for a lot of creativity and a lot of like change and like a lot of inspiration. You know, but I feel like that was meant to be. Like you can't line that up any more perfect.
Right. And going back to that record, man, I thought it was intra-generational, man. It's like it crossed generations. I'm saying, so like, I could appreciate it. I could see why younger kids would, because it's really for them. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
You say that you don't want to be the singular voice of your generation, but I think this album kind of, at this point, you know, here in January 2015, the spotlight is on you for being that voice of the generation. How do you feel about that, man?
You know what? I'll take it until it's not necessary. I can't run from that. I had a meeting in LA with like some business shit. And the lady I was meeting with, you know, a white lady, great woman. She was just like, how do you feel? You're the voice of, I was just like, yo.
You got tapped?
I got tapped.
You got officially tapped.
I'm like,
by white to be the
right.
like when you
right. I was like, yo, it's, you know, but I'm learning that, okay, if you say that, I feel like I'm equipped. I'm the most equipped right now in this position. And if people need me to be that and be a voice, I'll do my best.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm willing and I think I'm able to do that. And I'll be wrong sometimes and I talk out of my ass sometimes and misstep. Why? Because I didn't train for this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm a rapper. I've spent my whole life dreaming about being the best rapper. But for the time being, I feel like I'm well equipped to say some shit because I think about this shit all the time. You know what I mean? And if you agree and if it connects with you and it resonates, amazing. If not, let's pray we got a lot coming up. You know what I mean? We got them. We got the Michelle Alexanders of the world.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And who wrote
The New Jim Crow.
The New Jim Crow. We let's hope there's a ton of her out there to come and lead us and be like even clearer voices. Cause I don't got I'm learning. I'm trying to learn every day.
We don't have the answers.
Word up.
Sway.
None
Of us have the answers.
Yeah. For
You know what I
real.
mean? There's a good book that Raymond Santana from the Central Park Five suggested to me.
What was it?
It was called A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn.
I just bought that on my phone.
Oh, yeah. Did you start reading it?
Yeah, I did. I only made it maybe through a little bit of the first chapter, but the reason why I really fuck with it is because I just started reading this other book before. I'm like in between a few books.
Right.
But I started reading this book called A Brief History or A Brief Account of the Destruction of the Indies. And it's written by this dude in the 1400s. And basically he's a priest from Spain who went to the Caribbean. And this is right after Christopher Columbus dumbass thought that he discovered
When he Columbused America.
when he Columbused America, but he really ended up in the West, in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
He went there after, he discovered that part that natives had already been living in for fucking Lord
Happy.
knows how many.
They was
happy
happy.
as shit. But he goes there and he basically says, yo, people back home got to know what the fuck they're doing. And he gives like the only real detailed account of how they wiped out the native people, that what we would call Indians
Right.
of the Caribbean. And it's so fucking sad and it's so horrible. But the reason why I fuck with the book you're talking about, People's History of the United States, which somebody just told me to get to, is because they start off the book right there
Oh, talking about
the same thing.
Christopher Columbus being
and they,
a genocider.
yes,
Yeah.
genocide. He literally wiped the people
Yeah.
out, wiped them off the face of that whole entire Caribbean area. It's crazy.
The reason why I suggested the book also, because listening to your interviews, man, it seems like you're really struggling to understand what the system is. And I
Yeah.
think that book gives a very accurate and very clear picture of the system from day one. And it makes it a lot easier to see what's going on. I've spoken about this before, but what you get, like what I've gotten from the book is, what we see right now going on with police brutality, that's not a glitch in the system, dude. That's a feature.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that a lot of people are becoming aware right now. It's like, wait, we got to fix this.
Sure.
But when you see these cops acting the way they are, they're supposed to act like that because nobody's ever checked them in the history of America's
Sure.
existence.
For sure.
It's the first time they're being checked.
For sure.
It's crazy, man.
And they hate it, by the
Yeah.
way. And I get it because it's like, if you've been getting, and by the way, these are people.
Yes.
These are normal people. I got friends whose family members, whose fathers are police officers, and I know these are great people. You know what I mean? There's good people. But I was having a conversation with somebody, and I hear you 100% on that book, and I'm on it. I appreciate that advice. But on the issue of cops, while we talking about it, obviously we've been having a conversation, and I want people to know, like, because I got a homeboy that's like, man, fuck these cops. One of these niggas got to know. And I'm trying to let them know, like, yo, those are people.
Yes.
It's not, they got a job. The system has given them power. You're giving a person with flaws and their own biases
Unchecked power.
unchecked power. So that could be a good person. He could be a person with flaws. He just got this level of power. So
and power corrupts.
and power corrupts. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like it has to. I don't know. You gave me a gun and a badge. I might start
and
wilding.
free and like, yo, kill somebody. You be good. We got
I'm a
you.
new nigga.
We
give me,
got
I'm
you.
walking down the street with a gun. I've been getting picked on my whole life. Y'all niggas used to bully me in high school. I remember you, nigga. Hands against
take
the
this
wall,
shot.
motherfucker.
Cheer.
But my point is like, okay, you can have good. Oh, somebody was asking me like, don't you think there's good cops?
Of course.
But this is the thing. I think there are good and great people who are cops.
Right.
But I think the term good cop
It's a conundrum.
It's an oxymoron.
Right.
Because The job ain't good.
The job ain't good.
machine.
The machine. They are a part of a machine that's not good. They are agents of a machine that are not good. Are there good people in those roles? Absolutely.
Right.
Great people who really thought they were joining to make a difference and make a change. But now find themselves currently fucking up people's days and giving them tickets.
So in a sense,
and
You know, and I do want to say this. You know, I heard you speak before about, you know, being half white and half black.
yeah,
And you know, I mean, it's no lie what's going on to people of color, and in the sense of cops, and you know how they portray or the situations that have occurred.
mm-hmm.
You know, I you mentioned, like, it's not like if I get pulled over, I could pull out my half white card.
Right.
You know, and I found that classic because it was like, you know, you can't prove to, like, oh, I'm half white, leave me alone.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like you know, it's crazy too because, you know, I'm having a son, and he's gonna be half white and half black.
he's got a Nubian
Queen.
Ooh, I
And-
feel you, bro.
and
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, and you know, I say to myself, you know,
biracial Pete.
yeah, no racist Pete, but I say to myself, like, yo, that hit home because now he's gonna have to go through, depending if he's too dark or too light. You know, does he has to face these issues? And you know, with combat having 3 boys, and you know, I mean, it's scary.
No, I feel you 100%. Trust me. And it's like you in the picture and his mom's in the picture, so those identity crisis things probably not gonna be there. You know what I mean? Like, and luckily I didn't go through much of that as much as like other people I knew that was half and half. But like, if somebody asked me that question, like, well, which do you identify? Have you ever identified with being white? And I just had to let them know for sure. Like, nah.
Why didn't you identify with being white? Because some people go through that. Biracial kids
Right.
go through that crisis.
I never felt it. I don't know why. I do think my stepfather, his presence definitely gave me more of because I didn't grow up with my father. So his presence gave me more of a connection to like the you know, to black,
essence of a black
to
man.
black culture. But
Right.
but even in that sense, I don't know if it was, you know, because this wasn't my father. You know what I mean? It was more like I gravitated to my friends and to hip hop and things like that. I don't know the answer to why. I never felt it. I never, you know, I'm not white. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
I can't sneak into a white circle and just try to blend in. Like, yo, I know my
But
mom is
you'd be
white.
surprised, you know.
No, I've seen it happen.
Yeah,
but see,
you know how some of y'all light skins get, man.
yeah,
I
no,
did.
I've
Don't
seen
let
it.
them come after you again.
By the way, I can exist in all worlds.
Of course.
I just feel like as a black man in America, you gotta
You really got to know.
speak like 3 languages.
Yeah, you got to be multilingual.
You
man.
got to be multilingual, at least 2. You got to have I'm around my home. You got to have 3, really. You got to have, this is how I talk when I'm comfortable with my homeboy.
Speaking the language.
This is how I talk when I'm at a job interview. And this is how I talk when I'm around my mom. It's like 3 things, at least for me. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like 3
You know what? I
levels.
never thought about that, man, about how we talk
Yeah.
when we're around our moms, man. It's a whole different.
you keep it
it's
respectful.
it's respectable.
Right.
And, you know, like mom always, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
You know, I want to go back to your past, a couple of questions about your past, and then we'll take a break.
Cool.
It's a long interview, right?
Yeah, it's so long, but it's good.
Okay. You went to St. John's.
I went to St. John's University, yeah, Queens.
When you went to St. John's, man, was it the opportunity to go to college, or was it the opportunity to come to New York?
It was to come to New York.
Right.
But I always knew I was going to college. That was like my mom ingrained that in me. She didn't go. My older brother didn't go. Nobody in my family had went, but she put it in me from young that I was going to school.
Right.
So I always knew I was going to school. I just always thought I would go to Carolina.
Right.
And when the time came to apply my senior year, I was like serious about the rap shit. So New York was like,
So college was a vehicle for your
it was
rap
the
shit.
vehicle, man.
Right.
It was for sure.
And after college, man, you talked about how, you know, you kind of lived a hard knock life, just trying to get your shit together,
yeah.
man.
Those
And
were good times.
having
though.
like these multiple jobs. You was an ad salesman, man.
Yeah, for fucking for newspaper.
Right.
For like a local Queens newspaper.
What was that like? What was the
It
job?
was the fucking worst.
Hello, this is
And you didn't sell no ads, right?
Hell no.
You couldn't sell no ads.
I was on blogs, man.
Yo,
I was looking at rap blogs.
How long did you have that job, man?
I had that shit for a good year. It's maybe like 9 months. So
Right.
my homeboys got me that job. Basically what happened was I graduated college. In my mind, I was like, all my friends was going to get their full 9 to 5s.
Right.
And I was like, everybody's asking me what I was going to do. I was like, man, I'm about to get signed soon. Like, I'm good.
Right.
My mom was even telling me like, you know, what you going to, I'm like, Mom, I'm about to get this deal. It's cool. Dog, so 2-3 months go by. We just partying all summer. I'm not really focused. I'm not grinding because in my mind, I'm like, yo, I already got Lights Please. I got like these classic songs.
I'm a rap star.
Not that I'm a star, but I know it's coming. I had such faith.
Right.
And then there was one night at a party, I'm drunk, I'm fucked up. And Eve and my homeboy RJ just came up to me and it was like a real intervention. And not that I was an alcoholic, but it was like an intervention on some nigga, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, what's up? Like, where's your focus? Like, what we doing? We just gonna party all the time? Like, you gotta get a job, nigga. You gotta like start working. And from that day forward, A, I went and got a little part-time job, $8 an hour. And B, I just, every day on the beats, 5, 6, 7 beats a day, writing raps every day. That's when I started the idea of the warm-up, I think, somewhere around that time. So yeah, you know, I had that job. That was my second worst job. My first worst job was after that. I was a bill collector.
He was a bill collector.
Yes.
And you heard all these stories. Everybody had a story.
Everybody got
What's
a
the
fucking
worst story you heard, man?
Just like, you know, a woman that has cancer or a guy that has cancer and he's basically telling me like he's supposed to die in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here calling him about a fucking $300 Kohl's bill.
For a vacuum.
Yeah, exactly. And he's telling me like, man, brother, I'm not even supposed to be here in 3 weeks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Good luck with that $300.
He wasn't even an asshole about it.
Right.
Which is crazy. He was like apologetic. I wanted to be, and I can't, but I wanted to be like, I mean, I told him, you know, as nice as I could, like, sir, don't worry about it as much as I could say that, but I wanted to be like, yo, fuck us.
this bill, yeah.
Fuck me. Fuck this job. This dude is apologetic to me.
Right.
And he's about to die in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's telling me, I'm sorry. It's just, I've been really sick. Honestly, to tell you the truth, man, you know, and really heartfelt. I could tell he wasn't G'ing me. Because you could tell when people was getting over.
Yeah.
Some of them
What's the best story you heard, man?
The best story?
Yeah. Like, what's the best G? Like, you know what? You came up with this one out your ass. You won, B.
When they pick up the phone by accident.
Nah.
Without screening the call ID.
No, I can't remember a specific one. But definitely you get some gangsters like, fuck you, like, you can kiss my ass. Like, they know the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they don't really give a fuck.
Now, when we first met last year, man, you said something that was interesting. You said during that period, man, you was reading the blogs and doing the blogs, and you talked about Dallas Penn.
Yeah.
And how he kind of carried you through some of those dark moments, man.
I wouldn't say carried.
But he tell us about, because you know Dallas is a
where
family.
he at? I thought he was big.
Dallas ain't on the show no more. He's being Dallas Penn.
What the fuck? He's in these streets, man.
He's in these streets. He just got married, though.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
He's doing a bunch of shit.
So he's not in these streets.
No, but he's not. But Dallas always gonna be in these streets.
All right, cool. Nah, it wasn't. I just had to let him know when I seen him that I remember the shit he did. He was doing a couple things at the time, but he did some shit called like the Ghetto Big Mac.
Yeah, with internet celebrities.
Yeah. He was like, hello, internets.
Internets.
I just thought them dudes were so funny, man. Like, fucking weird and funny.
They were trying to get that special sauce from McDonald's.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's it, man. I just had to show them love. I like when when I see somebody and they wouldn't expect that I'm watching their shit or like listening to their shit, I gotta let them know. Like, yo, I remember this thing that you did.
Hey, yo, internets. If you've been listening to the Combat Jack Show, you know how heavy I fucks with Bevel. It's the best shaving system out here for people with coarse or curly hair, period. I've had people on the show sharing their testimonials. You've heard mine, and you'll keep hearing mine. I spoke with the homie Tristan Walker, CEO of Bevel, and I asked him, my dude, let's take this Bevel thing to the next level for the Combat Jack Show fans. How do you feel about offering the first membership month free to our audience? Free. We can make this exclusive. And Tristan looked at me, man, and he said, get ready for combat. So Tristan and Team Bevel want to bring luxury at respectable prices to us, but this offer right here, straight Numinati. You ready? Check it. First 150 people who go to getbevel.com and use the code FREECOMBAT, FREECOMBAT, from today through next Monday, February 2nd, gets the first month of Bevel free. Listen, free 99, people. This is going to go fast. If you're slow as shit, you can still use the code Combat for 20% off your first month. But this right here, first 150 people, getbevel.com, free combat, free 99. stop shaving like a pauper and shave like a fucking king. And now back to the show. Internets, you tuned into the Combat Jack Show, the combatjackshow.com. We got Mr. J. Cole in the building.
We bike.
2014 Forest Hill Drives.
Yes, sir.
You know, listen, when I met you last year, man, I was telling you how much of a fan my son was of yours.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the first question you asked me is like, well, what about you? And I was like, yeah, you know, I fucks with you.
That's what I said?
No, yeah.
I probably was playing, though.
Nah, but you caught me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, like, I appreciated some of the shit that you had, but I wasn't really fucking with J. Cole like that. Not that I wasn't fucking with you, but I wasn't fucking with you like that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And you talk about how you had to overcome that hurdle, man. Like
I know what happened, too.
What happened,
I'm
man?
glad you say that. I figured out what happened, like, a couple weeks ago. Like, in the past couple weeks. And it came from, man, it's going to be a long story or whatever. But
That's
it came
all right.
from
We
a
got time.
conversation
Right.
I had, and it's fitting for this show. The conversation I had with Gregg Nice, right? Randomly, because not like I know this dude. I just happened to be at like one of them old school parties downtown in New York City, and like, you know, Nice and Smooth performing. Like Mr. Cheeks was there, who's not old school to me. And like a bunch, like some old school acts was in there, and it was really just like a party. And I was talking to him, and the first thing he said, I was just like, "Yo, I'm trying to do my homework on just, I've been absorbing Rakim albums. I've been listening to like." I've been Kane albums. I like to do my homework when I can and just catch up on history. It's interesting to get that perspective. And I was just letting him know, like, I got to do my homework on them. But, he was giving me gems about the time period, telling me stories about Pac. But the point is, he said this. He was like, yo, you know the difference? And one of the first things he said, like, you know the difference between now and then? He was like, yo, back then, it was a crime if you sounded like somebody else. It was a crime. And mind you, I'm 29, like, and I feel like I've had a piece of the 90s, you know what I mean? But so he was like, it was a crime if you sound like somebody else. That was terrible. You get played, you get clown if you sound like somebody else. He was like, yo, that's why you had so many flavors and so many styles and so many people. Like, you might have Busta over here, but then you might have like Cube over here, and then you have, because nobody was trying to sound anything like somebody else. So when somebody did something that was sewn up and locked, and it was like nobody could come close to that. And when he said it, I was like, oh shit. And it just stuck with me. And that's been with me for months now, right? And to fast forward to the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking, like, yo, why so much more people fuck with this album? And I know it's my best album, hands down. But it's almost people like you, who last year was like maybe lukewarm. Like, yeah, I know Cole, I fuck with, he's nice. But like, I'm like, well, what? How did they not know? Because I always knew, and I know that I got fans that always knew. I was like, why? Why didn't you know? You know what I mean? Like, what happened with you? And I realized what happened. I spent my whole life, my whole childhood from like 12 up until I got signed and blah, 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 developing my style. And your style starts when you try to sound like somebody else. That's how everybody starts. Right. You try to sound like your favorite people. When I go back and do my homework, now that I hear Rakim, and then I go hear Nas on Live at the Barbecue, I'm like, oh, wow. He was heavily influenced
by Rakim, yes.
But then time goes on, he masked that influence more and more as he becomes more Nas. You interject some of this, some of that flavor, some of Cool G rap, some of this, and it's like you become Nas. You know what I mean? And I thought about myself. I was like, oh, so by the time I got to the come up, the warm up, which was my first 2 mixtapes, the warm up being classic and being heralded by my fans, I was so locked into who I was stylistically. It didn't sound like nobody. I had been through the phase of trying to sound exactly like Cannabis when I was 14, 15, and Eminem. And then I had been through the phase of trying to sound like Nas. And I had been through the phase of Jay. And all of that shit melted in a pot and made me who I was. So when I dropped Warm Up, when it hit the people's ears, it was so refreshing because it was so original. Right. And it wasn't happening at the time. You got a storytelling rapper then who really got bars, who really is hard. And Friday Night Lights was a continuation of the warm-up. It was also the first time I started experimenting and then trying to expand. Like, okay, well, let me try to do something. And that was heralded as a classic too. But it's a perfect balance of like that cold style and then a little bit of me trying some new shit. But it's still classic in the eyes of my fans. My introduction to the people, to you, I believe, because that was when my buzz was crazy. Yo, you ain't heard Cole Friday Night Lights? Boom, boom. My introduction to the people just happened to be, to the mainstream crowd, just happened to be my first album, which was the most reaching I've ever done. And when I listen back now, some songs, 100% me. There's a few songs where I'm like, I hear it. I hear where I was reaching and trying to try a new flavor that I thought would get me to the people's ears easier.
Right.
Like, still be myself, but let me add a little bit of this. Now when I listen back, like, oh, shit. And I think back to what Gregg Nice said. No one would ever do that back in the day. And I look, you can name a rapper right now and I could tell you a song and where they took it from. Right now, it's like commonplace for people to snatch this flow, snatch this style.
Right.
It's commonplace in this day and age or whatever. And it wasn't like that before. So to your point, or to my point about when did you go on? This is the first album where I got back to like, there ain't no reaching.
Right.
It's 100% me.
And you know, from my perspective also, I was actually up on you on Friday Night Lights.
Oh, yeah?
But I think it was like the whole proximity between Drake coming out and you coming out. And there was a bunch of artists coming out.
Nah.
And to me,
To
I'm saying to me,
Yeah.
and really absorbing all these artists, you know, I don't have that bandwidth.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
There was a lot, actually.
And,
I'm thinking back.
Yeah, think about it. We're talking about, what, 2009?
2009 when So Far Gone and the warm-up came out. Late 2010
So the warm-up,
for Friday Night
exactly.
Lights.
I remember when the warm-up came out.
It was a lot of, it was crowded.
It was a lot of shit.
It was crowded. But I think it was only a couple that cut through
Right.
at that year, which was like the warm-up and So Far Gone. So Far Gone was out of here.
It was out of here.
Stupid.
Now, did it bother you, man, that you felt like you weren't getting the accolades that you deserved?
Oh, it was killing me. It was killing me on the inside. You know what I mean? But it was like, that was part of my misery that we talked about earlier, and not appreciating shit. You know what I mean?
Now, did you feel, though, that you had accomplished, like that you had delivered superior work that would have garnered you the accolades that you wanted? Or you just wanted the accolades?
I felt like it's different. I knew my first album was a couple steps off.
Right.
I knew what I did. In retrospect, I knew where I fucked up to get it there, and therefore I knew that I didn't accomplish what I wanted to, and that was the cause of my misery, because I wanted my first album to be, in a sense, what Friday Night Lights was on a mainstream level, but I was already worn out by then. I was tapped out, you know what I mean, in terms of inspiration, and I was stressed and like, you know, so it killed me because I ain't really had nobody to blame.
Right.
I just didn't know no better.
Right. And then being signed to Rock Nation, I mean, you signed to, like, Jay signed you.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that's the thought process that I went through, but like, how do you follow? Not saying that you were put in that position, but how do you follow in Jay's footsteps?
I never thought about that.
No, but you could see where people would think, like Jay's such a, you know, like his history, like, so what is J. Cole going to do?
My mind state wasn't even worried about that. My shit was like, how do I drop that classic? What do I got to do to get there? First of all, how do I put out an album? That was my whole battle. It was never like, how do I fit? It was like, yo, how I get this fucking album out? You know what I mean? What the fuck I got to do to put this album out? Because you remember the game was fucked up. We didn't know what we know now.
Right.
That you can develop a real fan base, put out an album and not have to go the single route. That was not the day and age where that happened. So I was like, you know, the final guinea pig for that experiment. So my whole battle was like how to put a fucking album out. You know what I'm saying? So
you're not about the single life. You don't. I mean, in terms of like putting the single.
Nah, I've been through it.
Right.
I'm not about it no more.
You know, I'm so glad that this album worked, because even as somebody that consumes records, I don't like singles. And the reason why I don't like singles is because being an old school cat, I love the experience of listening to an album.
Me too.
I hadn't heard anything from 2014. So when I put the headphones on, I was just listening to that.
For sure.
And motherfucker, I listened to the credit song. I listened to the fucking credit song and enjoyed that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mama.
Thank you, man. Mama.
When Jay first heard the album, man, what was his reaction? Or was he hearing it as it was going through?
No. I only played him. He came through one time in LA and I played him like some shit I had so far. I didn't give him everything, though. I just gave him a few. And he was fucking with it.
Right.
Because we had a crazy talk, and then just so happened my album was about everything that we talked about.
What was the talk, man?
The talk was about Hollywood and reality TV and just shit that I'd always be fucking talking about and complaining about, and like, you know, just shit like that. And it just so happened that my album hit on those things, but I didn't play him everything.
Right.
But no, he gave me like really nice feedback, amazing feedback on the album. I'm gonna stop being like.
Was his reaction different from prior albums?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For sure.
Did you know that it was going to be such a commercial success?
No, I had no clue.
When you found out that it was a commercial success, what was your reaction?
Wow. Like, I was like, oh shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to understand, to put the album out the way I did, I had to come to grips with myself that it might flop.
Right. Because it was your most honest record.
No, because I knew it was my best, but I didn't know if no singles and no promotion would be a risk. You know what I mean? So I had to tell myself, yo, this album could potentially come out and sell terribly. Are you going to be okay with that? Is that worth people hearing it, experiencing it at one time and doing those singles? And I was like, yeah. So I had to come to grips with that. So when the number comes out, which was, you know, a blessing, the icing on the cake, I'm just like, wow, because I had already won the reason why I can make that decision is because I won already in my mind. I'm like, yo, I came through with this title, with this concept. It was given to me. It was, and it came together perfect. And I made the album that I'm so excited and ecstatic about to like give to the world. I don't give a fuck if nobody liked it. I'm loving it. You know what I mean?
Even if it sold 5 copies.
5 copies. That's how we felt. Like, yo, we know I got my groove, or you know what I mean? Niggas can't tell me shit right now.
So what would your response been if it was like critically panned and cats were like, yo, this is a whack album?
They ain't bugging.
Right.
They're tripping. Like they're gonna come back a year from now, 2 years from now, and write articles about how they fucking tripping. That's what I would have said.
Right.
And if not, then it's all good.
Yeah, you know what's so special too? You think about when you think back to your accolades and like how you tried so hard to, you know, be acknowledged for all this shit. You wind up doing this your way, and the accolades is just amazing. Like,
right.
You know, who could, like, you basically are creating your own blueprint, and it worked. And it worked.
And it worked. I tell you, man, I got to thank you for Fire Squad. You know, this is a soapbox that I've been on for a long time about the whitewashing of hip hop. Mm-hmm. You know, and my father-in-law was a music dude. I speak about it a lot on the show. He was a music dude and from the 50s, and he had a Grammy, and he was really successful, really politically minded dude, and Teddy Van. And I remember when Eminem dropped, you know, back in the 90s, and we used to argue because I used to tell him, like, yo, Eminem is phenomenal. Eminem is phenomenal. And he'd be like, nope. Like, no, yo, you're for real. Like, I'm a hip-hop dude. Uh-huh. Like, I know Biggie. I know Jay. You know what I'm saying? Kane. Like, Eminem is superior. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, nope. And he wouldn't give me that. You know what I'm saying? So towards the end of his life, he passed away in 09.
Sorry.
Playing chess. And he was like, you know, coming from the Elvis days, I see that happening with hip hop. I was like, that can't happen. I was like, how can that happen? We've documented the Kanes. We've documented the DMXs. We have all these cats on. He's like, there's going to be a day when they're going to proclaim a white dude to be the king of hip hop. I was like, that can't happen. But it put that awareness in my head. So I remember a couple of years later, I picked up that Rolling Stone magazine, and I love M. You know what I'm saying? You can't take anything away from M, but when the system portrayed him as the king of hip hop, I was like, all the shit that my father-in-law said just hit me. Whew. So now years later, you see, you know, and once again, it's not taking anything away from the Macklemores or the whole nine, but when you see how much accolades they get, it seems like hip hop is becoming more and more no country for black men.
For sure. I feel that 100%.
But what was frustrating about it, Jay, is I'd be saying this to our people. They'd be like, nah, you know, our people just ain't put out no dope shit. And I'm like, are you fucking crazy?
I hear you, bro.
Now, did you get, has there been any more blowback from Fire Squad?
We got to pause that blowback.
Is that a pause?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
That's kind of a reach, man. That's a military
Nah, it's not
term.
I know, but
Pause decline, dude. Pause decline.
Is it a pause? You got to pause this pause.
You
got to pause the pause.
Pause
for, like,
decline, man.
The pause, because you reached pretty far.
No, that wasn't reaching. He said, "Have you got any? What'd you say? Drawback
Yo,
on
let's
the,
not
on
play.
the
Let's
blowback?"
not get into how did we just get into this whole
I
fucking
couldn't let that one
pause
pass.
clusterfuck, man.
No blowback to anybody.
All right, no blowback. But was there any more backlash behind that song?
Anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I know some cat like they like you going at Eminem and Macklemore.
Never would go at M.
Right.
I'd never be that silly. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
What could I say to somebody that I idolize and have nothing but respect for?
But what inspired you to do that song?
Exactly what you just said.
Right.
Me being bearing witness to what you just said and commenting on what I see, which is exactly that. It's nobody's fault. It's not even Iggy Azalea's fault.
It's not her fault.
It's not her fault. She's chasing her dream.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she's chasing her dream. Just like it doesn't matter the quality of her music. She's chasing her dream. So it's not her fault. But I have to comment. It's my job to tell you what's on my mind in the slickest way that I can, in the most poetic, lyrical, clever, whatever I can do to paint this picture to you very clearly about how I'm feeling and what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing is that. It's like, you got to understand, I'm coming from the perspective of someone that learned radio over the past 5 years. I learned what that was about. And do you understand how hard it is for a black artist to get played on pop radio? For a rapper. When you look at the charts and you see that Drake, who's the hottest rapper in the game for the past 5 years and has dropped some of the most phenomenally impactful records, such as Started from the Bottom. When you look at what those records did at pop radio, you like, oh my God. Like, yo, rap used to run them charts. Now it's like they think Drake is dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they think he's not safe to come over there and they won't play it. That record is supposed to be the number one record in the country everywhere.
Of course.
It was that amazing, you know what I mean? But they won't allow it. They blocking it. Why? Because it doesn't register. It doesn't react.
Right.
It's not reacting with our listeners. Well, who presses that button? Who says that Macklemore is going to react and then J. Cole is not? That Crooked Smile can't be played over there. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm seeing it firsthand as somebody that's behind the curtain.
In rap.
For sure. And it taught me a lot because it's also ultimately as a grown man now, I'm like, it's cool, man. It's like I've learned that it don't matter. Like I'm blessed enough to be where I'm at and to like have a career that's not dependent on that. But I can't help but notice.
What matters is the legacy though. Our legacy.
The history, yes, for sure. Because when history's told, Macklemore's in them books. Iggy Azalea's in them books.
Eminem's in them books.
Eminem, but he deserves it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And not that these people don't. I'm not trying to say that, but like, come on, man. I used the jazz analogy.
You fucked me up with that shit. I went to the fucking iTunes
Kenny G
jazz page
is the
today.
highest selling jazz artist of all time, and it's not even close. So in 50 years, 100 years,
when you go to the iTunes page,
to iTunes, or when they talk about jazz, yeah, they're going to talk about, the people that know are going to talk about his heyday, but there will always be Kenny G and all of his
the entire
spin-offs.
page was white.
Bro,
people.
Did you go look?
That's what I'm saying. You fucked me up. I went to iTunes today, iTunes Jazz, and it was all white artists.
It's crazy.
Frank Sinatra even. I was like, hold up. Like,
it's cool. Like everybody got the right to be inspired and do the music but
Ornette Coleman.
But
you don't see Miles Davis.
You don't see it. But
John Coltrane.
Man. But like let's be clear what we're talking about. This is the system. This is capitalism at work.
And it's white supremacy too.
Oh, for sure.
It's white supremacy. Let's call it what it is.
Capitalism over white supremacy. I feel like white supremacy is a
tool of
greed. I feel like reading that one book I told you about really put things in perspective for me. When these people came and saw these brown natives, their first words weren't, these fucking brown people disgust me. Fuck, I hate them. It was,
look at the resources.
Where's the gold?
Right.
Who got gold? And that greed of, oh, yo, I see them with a gold earring. You, come over here. Where'd you get this from? Pointing at the earring. Where's this? Snatch a couple of them up. Take me to this. Then they take you to the place where they get the gold from. And then you say, oh, that's what's up. Now you dig this up for me. So this greed turns into slavery. The slavery turns into like hatred and like, I am over you. You know what I mean? But it was always greed first. I think. I'm no fucking historian, but this is how it seems to me. That it's like, because I used to think it was the other way. It's the hatred first. It's like the racism first, the white supremacy first.
It's the greed first.
I think it's the greed first, dog. I'm not a fucking expert historian, but that's how what I'm starting to learn as I get older. Like, man, this shit is greed.
What's the loudness war? I heard you speak on that on another interview, man.
Loudness war is some shit I just learned about when we went to mastering with this album. Basically, mastering is a process that gets your music from just being a mix that sounds good to being like ready for your speakers. Basically, it could play in anything. Play in your headphones, it could play in your speakers, it could play on your laptop at a really decent level, and it's gonna cut through a lot louder than just a regular mix would. But what happened was, you can Google this because I'm probably going to fuck up some of the details, but somewhere in the 80s and 90s, they started getting better with mastering technology. And they started pushing the mastering.
The digital age.
They started pushing the loudness that they could take this stuff. Because they used to master the record right there in the studio. Right. Like, it was a real simple process. They used to do it the same day. Now it's like, you send that shit off. It's like, basically, the equipment got so ill that they can take this shit to crazy levels. So you listen to one of these albums, pick an album, like go listen to a Michael Jackson remaster. Go listen to like a Beatles remaster and then listen to the original master.
It's louder.
It's louder because they can do that. They can pull it up. So the loudness war is basically like there's a race to just get louder and louder without fucking up the quality as much.
Right.
But
without distorting it.
Without distorting it. But you're fucking up the sonic dynamics. You're fucking up the dynamics of the wave or whatever. So that's what the loudness war is in a nutshell. You're not getting the music how it should be heard because everybody just wants to be fucking loud.
And you decided when you mastered your album that you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I wanted to get out of the loudness war, basically, because I'm not a club artist, man. I realize that shit. I'm not an artist I'm not making my shit for the clubs. If you play it in there, cool. My shit is for your headphones and for your whip. And like, I don't need to compete with the 2 Chainz record in the club. I don't need to do that. I just need to be in your headphones really nice. So we got back to first masters, which was mad loud.
Right.
And my engineer Mez told me about the loudness war, and I just had a decision like, fuck it, let's not do it. Let's go quiet. Like, let's go more quiet.
And it kind of almost forces the audience to really put their head closer to, even if you could think the headphone is on, but it forces you to put your head even closer to listen.
That's real.
Yeah.
Oh, push those headphones in. Like,
what?
Push the headphones in.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, don't try to get me back in this. Yo,
yeah, I'm not trying to get you back, man.
Pause this, but I want to touch on something before we move forward. A lot of elder statesmen in the culture respect you. I mean, just from hearing it, seeing it, and then being friends of people that'll mention you. It's funny. I was talking yesterday with Bun B, and who I know that you have always showed love to. And it's funny, we were talking about a situation with a track that you made called Bun B for President.
Oh my
who the fuck
God.
leaked that thing? He said somebody...
He did that shit.
Yo,
I know he did that shit.
He said he was so taken back that I think you produced that track.
Hell
and
yeah.
then you came up with the idea and it was going to go on his album.
I wanted it for his album.
And but just hearing him talk about it's just even like the elder statesmen have so much respect for you. It means something when those type of people respect you.
Man, that dude is a fucking legend, and I really wish he'd use that joint, but yeah. You know what? I can't say that I'm a historian. Like Bun B, obviously, like I'm from the South, so it's like I came up around UGK with knowledge and
Pimp CB
for sure.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But like even the Gregg Nices of the world and like people I run into, it's like I have a respect. I want to know. I'm not an avid historian,
right?
But I want to be. I'm interested. You know what I mean? I would love to learn it all. I got a DJ Dummy. He DJs everywhere, every show I do. Dummy is an OG in the game. Like he's seen it all. He's been around, and he came up a fan in the '80s. So he'll school me on like, yo, what it was like with Kane and Rakim and who was really the nicest and that. I get that perspective when I look back and I look at L. Like, it's crazy because y'all grew up in it.
Yes.
So you remember, you could tell me vividly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But for me to look back and now try to compare it to where we at now, I'm like, oh, so that's like what they try to put me and Drake, boom, boom, that's like that, or that's like, oh, it's fun for me to then apply it to like today's day and age. And then to also go back and listen to these raps, because when we was young, we used to laugh at old school rappers. We had no respect, because to us it sounded so old. And it might be like that to you now. It's like you might hear some shit from like the 90s, and be like, shit sound old. We was hearing shit from the 80s, like KRS and whoever, even older, like, you know, when niggas was, and these are the braids.
Yeah. Shit.
And nigga got what it takes.
Yeah.
But like, to us, it was like, to us, it's easy to poke fun at. But as I get older, I'm like, but yo, put yourself in the shoes as if you've never heard nothing like this before in your life.
Exist.
It didn't exist before. We can laugh now because we got niggas like Young Thug whose flows is so crazy.
Right.
But imagine when that was the craziest thing you heard. And I got what it take to hear somebody yelling. So I appreciate those moments when I get to go back and like and feel that. So I think the elder statesmen feel that from me when I meet them. It's like it's a respect. I'm in awe. You know what I mean? And I want to know, what was it like for you? Tell me, what was it like? You know what I mean? What was it like when you was coming up?
Oh man, it was glorious back in the day, though. Man. It was glorious, man.
That cocaine.
Yeah, that cocaine, man. But easy.
I'm in love with okay.
Listen, on Be Free, man, you right. Ain't a gun that could kill your soul, man. What do you mean?
Exactly that. There's a higher. We all connected to something that can never die. You know what I mean? Period. So no matter what type of suffering happens in this existence, no matter what, you know, I just watched Selma yesterday. It's
Good
like,
movie, man.
Oh
Great
my
movie.
God, it's amazing. It's like, you know, that man didn't die. His physical form ceased to exist, but he's here. You know what I mean? And like, you know, any of our loved ones that go, they're not dead. And I feel like if we truly understand that, myself included, if we truly understood that this is just a temporary experience of like physical, this is a blessing to be here, but this ain't the end, then life would be such a more amazing thing. We wouldn't have fear. There's no fear when you know that this ain't it. Fear is the root of all this shit, of racism, of greed. Greed exists because you think
Scarcity.
There's scarcity. You think there's not enough. So
And the universe
greedy.
is abundant.
It's abundant.
Yeah.
There's more than enough. There'll always be more than enough. So that's where fear comes from. It's all ego. It's all survival. But if you knew, that's what makes us human. That's what makes us spiritual beings, is that we can be aware of the other side, that there's an infinity. You know what I mean?
Yo, how do you perform that song on Letterman and not break down, man?
Bro, it was hard.
Amazing performance.
Thank you, man.
Incredible.
I was nervous as shit just because I felt the weight of like that moment, and I felt like the responsibility I was taking on, and I didn't want to fuck that up. I mean, I didn't want to slip on a word. I didn't want to.
And it's the first time
I've ever performed it. I'm adding a new verse. I don't want to fuck up the rap. So there's that level of pressure. But then when the cameras started rolling and they did the introduction, something new came that I didn't know would hit me. And that was the emotion. The nerves were gone. And it turned into, oh shit, I'm going to start crying.
Right.
The minute the beat started, the track started playing, and I got in the mode.
You
like
felt that wave.
Oh my God. Even more so than when I recorded it.
Right.
And when I recorded it, I was in it. So it was tough.
Were you watching the Eric Garner video before you went on Letterman?
Yeah, I did. I went
just to
see
it again,
just to get back in that zone.
It's funny because it's like before you mentioned about not being known as like somebody who was just the voice, and it's funny. I had shown my girl. I mentioned your name to her. I was like, "Oh, you see this J. Cole on Letterman?" She said, "I don't know who J. Cole is," and I had showed it to her, and just from her watching that video, she's a fan, and she started to check back to your old work.
Wow.
So it's funny how something of importance of the world that we live in and what you spoke about has made someone now come 360 around.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yo, Cole. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying I appreciate that moment. Like, and I really got to shout out Catherine. Who works for Biz 3, who owns Biz 3, as my publicist, who really fought to get that song. They didn't want me to do that song at first. They
vetted. They tried to vet the song.
Oh yeah. I was supposed to do. Apparently, they were nervous about that song, and at the last minute, she like fought tooth and nail. And at the last minute, they said I could do it. So I got to shout her out for that moment.
And you definitely affected the audience, man.
I mean, look at Letterman. Remember you were mentioning
Letterman was like blown away, B.
Word, that was crazy. I'm blessed to be able to do that, man. For real.
I don't want to put you in a title because I think we got to get away from titles, man. But were you always so engaged as an activist?
Yeah, in my mind,
Right.
and in my conversations, in my mind, in my thoughts, in my conversations. Yeah, I was always somebody that looked at the world and even if I didn't know what was going on, I had to voice my opinion about it. Like, why the fuck is it like that? When Flavor of Love came out and this whole reality show wave started, I was a kid at school and college like, yo, why the fuck y'all watching this shit? Yo, y'all know this shit is evil? Yo, how you gonna call it reality TV? This shit is clearly scripted and they portraying us like this. The stereotypes is obvious. Y'all don't see this shit? I'm like, we had a black student union. We used to argue about this shit all the time. Like, so I was always that kid that was looking at shit like, why is it like this?
Right.
Now that I'm getting older, I'm understanding that it's one thing to have that passion, but I'm trying to arm myself with the knowledge and the perspective. Like you said, that book, like, so I can get a grasp on where we really at. You know what I mean? That's what I want. I want that grasp. But like, knowledge is power. I see that.
Knowledge is power.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because if you know what you're sitting in, it's better to know what the fuck you're sitting in than to walk around confused all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so was I always like that? In my mind, yes. I'm not an activist in the sense that I'm like a true organizer and shit, but I always cared.
But you made a big impact when you went down to Ferguson. Like, cats like, oh shit, J. Cole's down at Ferguson. Like, what drove you to go there, man?
I read an article. I'm trying to remember what it was. If it was on the Atlantic, it was an amazing article.
Ta-Nehisi Coates?
Probably.
On reparations?
It wasn't on reparations. It was on everything that was the same thing that made me write Be Free, bro.
Right.
And then I started watching these Vice live streams that they were doing. And I just felt like, yo, I gotta be there. They was doing live streams every night in the streets of Ferguson. I just realized like, yo, I can be there right now. I can book a flight, bring my home. I can be there. I can experience this and tell my kids about this. So that's what it was.
I gotta ask you a question, man, and can you answer it as best as you can?
Yeah.
And this was a little bit personal because my wife was at this party.
Okay.
And Cass was celebrating, and you was there, and Puff was there, and she said a little scuffle, and she started running.
Wow.
So what happened that night, man, with you and Puff, man?
Oh my God. Nothing crazy.
Take that.
Nothing crazy. But it was, Puff is that dude, man.
Yes.
I got nothing but respect
The
for
Great
the guy.
Gatsby.
Yeah. It was just like a random thing. Is that my headphones or yours?
I could hear you.
Okay, that's my
You
headphones.
sound good.
Nah, it's a random spur of the moment, random thing. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy at all. Yeah.
Was it one of those random things where when you're in an environment, it's like the testosterone starts to clash a little bit?
You know what? It was just a quick moment of like, just a quick disagreement that turned into something. You know what I
Right.
mean? But nothing crazy enough to really be. Never been a beef, never is a beef. You know what I mean? It was just
But it was one of those moments.
a moment, like two grown men.
Locking horns?
Yeah.
But was it that disruptive as people say? Because you read the press and it sounds like it was like a fight, right? But you can't believe the press.
Nah,
I know
it
that.
was too quick to really be considered a fight. Like
But-
we wouldn't consider that a fight.
But my wife said people were moving away from the situation. Like she's like, I got the fuck out of there.
People
Run!
People move for sure. People move, definitely move.
Glasses were dropping.
Nunchucks came out. I heard the nunchucks came out.
Yeah, I pulled the fucking numbers.
Yo, all right. Describe your relationship with Kendrick, man. Because from the outside looking in, man, it seems like you have this mutual respect for each other. It's kind of like this distant collaborative relationship, but at the same time, it's like this is hip hop. It's combative. And
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
describe that, man, because I appreciate that.
Nah, you know what it is? I met Kendrick at a time when all I had out was the warm up. Nobody knew who he was. He didn't have a deal. He was signed to Top. I didn't know he was signed to Top. I actually wanted to sign him. I didn't have my business right, even close. I didn't know he was with Top. But in my mind, he was the first person I ever found that I was like, yo, I'm telling everybody, like, yo, I'm trying to sign this kid. Like, yo, this nigga's nasty. 'Cause what happened was I was at a party in L.A., this group called You and I. They not together no
Remember
more.
You and I.
They was out of L.A. Cool ass dudes, man. So they invited us out to their little release party. We went, and at the party, they had did a few songs, and they brought this kid up. This short ass kid. I'm looking at this short, dark skin. I'm like, yo, who's this kid? Like, and then he gets on the mic and murders. And I'm a rapper's rapper. and I'm not easily impressed. You know what I mean? And when I saw him, I was like, what? When I heard him, I'm instantly like, I'm looking at Eve like, yo, this nigga's crazy. Like, I gotta go let him know that he's ill. So I walked up to him like, yo, my nigga, that shit was crazy.
What year was this?
This was 2010.
Okay.
This 2010. And I just had to let him know that I was fucking with the shit. He was like, yo, I met you. He was like, I appreciate it. Thank you, my nigga. I fuck with you, but I met you. I was like, when? He had met me at the XXL freshman shoot with Jay. I think J-Rock was on that cover.
Right.
And he was in there with J-Rock.
Right.
And he was
Playing
like,
the background.
Playing the background. He told me, because I was running late that day, our flight got canceled. So we caught a later flight. And he was like, yo, man, I was asking them to give me your spot. But they didn't know who he was. Like, get the fuck out of here. Right. He was serious. He was serious. Like, yo, if that nigga don't show up, I'll take his spot. And from there, from that night, we clicked and I told him to send me some records. And he sent me like these songs he got called, I'll never forget, he sent me, they weren't out at the time. He sent me Pussy and Patron, and he sent me Cut You Off to my email. And I was like, yo, this nigga, I'm fucking with this nigga. Like, yo, I want to sign this nigga. But of course, nigga was like, yo, yeah, he fuck with some dude named Top Dog. I'm like, who the fuck is a Top Dog?
Yeah, you need to
He
sign
probably
it.
gonna fuck up his career. Some hood nigga that got this nigga locked up. Like, and obviously I was wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, and from there, it was just like, I felt compelled to always give him any jewels I could. Because I knew what I was going through and the stresses I was going through. And I was always trying to tell him, like, yo, if they try to tell you this, fuck that. You could do it like this. You know what I mean? I always try to provide that and shout him out whenever I could. You know what I mean? And like big him up in interviews. Even when I was in the studio with Dre, I had to tell Dre, like, yo, you ain't heard of Kendrick? He's like, oh yeah, I heard. I'm supposed to be meeting with him soon. I'm like giving him the crazy cosign, like, you gotta fuck with Kendrick.
Crazy.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
And it's crazy because I was in the studio with him a couple weeks ago just fucking around. And he brought that up. And I didn't know he knew. I didn't even know he knew that. And he was like,
you was in Dre's ear.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't even know he ever knew. And he told me a couple weeks ago, he was like, yeah, my nigga, I appreciate that shit. I was like, yo, how the fuck you knew? And Stat Quo, who works with Dre close, I told him. So that's the relationship. It's like, but then it turned into some shit where this nigga blew the fuck up and hit levels that I hadn't reached. You know what I mean? So
and you didn't even see those levels in his cards.
Oh, no, I saw them.
Okay, you saw them.
Absolutely. Right. No, I absolutely saw them. I saw them for sure. You know what I mean? Definitely. But I didn't know that I wouldn't be there.
Right.
That was the difference. I didn't know that I didn't know the nigga go platinum before me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't know that, but I definitely saw it for him. For sure. I believed and believed.
And then you hear a song like Control and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. That shit was like, you know what? I heard about it before it came out. Somebody called me and gave me the...
So the hype was bigger than... Like the hype was already building before you heard it.
Yeah. I heard about it maybe a week or two before, for sure. It was a moment, man. It was a big moment in hip-hop. For sure. What you looking for?
I'm just listening to you, man. I'm just listening to you, man.
Nah, I don't really know what to say about that record. It was a perfectly well played thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And did that
in terms of a chess move,
right?
You gotta respect.
And it's a chess game.
It's a chess game, exactly. It's a chess game.
And it's better when it's competitive. I mean,
sure.
let it be that way. I mean, hip hop is at its finest when it's competitive.
Chuck D said, this is Chuck D. Chuck D said back in the day, when you saw Rakim come off stage, you didn't have the balls to get on the stage if you couldn't blow it down.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a stage.
Okay.
You're talking about a stage.
I'm waiting for that pause.
No.
But you couldn't dare stand on that stage,
right?
If you couldn't blow that stage down,
for sure.
You know what I mean?
For
and,
sure.
and I think it's great that you guys are bringing that sense of gentlemanly competitiveness back in the game. Because I could appreciate, people want to see. At the end of the day, that's what rap is going to be. Rap is going to be like it's a competitive.
Sure,
it's a competitive sport.
That I'm gonna say this. That verse did a lot for me, in the sense that when I heard it, of course, me telling you the story of what I just told you and how I've always showed him love and always.
Did you feel a kind of way?
But this is why I felt the way. I didn't even really hear the line.
Right.
I heard the loudness of the people.
Right.
The
hype.
Ooh. That shit had me feeling like, yo, what the fuck? I had to have a conversation with him. You know what I mean?
What was the conversation, man?
It was just, I mean, not even to dive into detail. I just had to find out for myself. Like, yo, what?
You came at me, dog?
What's that? Please tell me what is that. I gotta know. Cause I really fuck with you. You know what I mean? Like we not.
You know I fuck with you.
We not best friends. Like we know what I'm saying? Like I don't know you. Like I don't know your moms and shit. But like I really genuinely fuck. We got great conversations and like I don't fuck with too many niggas again. I fuck with you. I need to know.
Right.
What is that? What does that mean? And when I got the answer and had time to reflect on the answer, it really, and then went back and heard the verse, like months later, I had to really check myself like, wow.
What was the answer?
Oh, it's just exactly what it was. Like, nigga, the last person I thought would even feel away is you. You know what I mean? Like, this shit, but I had to be smacked back into reality of like, nigga, this is rap. This is competitive. This is fun. This is a sport, nigga. Like, this shit is like basketball. The same way.
Exactly.
If I eat you up on the court and drop 40 on you, we could still go to the club.
You can't feel away.
You can't feel away.
You let me drop 40.
You let me drop 40?
Yeah, all right.
You better give me 50 the next game.
Right.
And that's what I just had to realize that, you know, that's all it was. You know, it's just, so it did a lot for me in terms of like coming back into this shit being fun again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not worrying about my place.
Right.
I'm just worrying about this shit being fun. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's really explaining it clearly.
No, I think you did. Listen, let's wind this up, man, because you've been very generous with your time,
I
man.
can go forever, but whatever you want to say.
You know, I'm doing this interview with you, man, and I'm a newly converted fan, and I think,
thank you.
You know, one of the things I appreciate about this game is artists that I don't necessarily appreciate for whatever reason, and then they convince me to appreciate them. So I got to thank you for that, because very few people have done that. You know, at least to me as a rap fan.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? But, you know, like I said, man, I think your album, as much as I appreciate it, man, is so much more for the next generation. You know, and my son is a big fan of yours. He's been telling me about you for years. He's been telling me for years, oh, you got to get J. Cole on the Combat Jack show.
My man.
You know, and when I listen to your album, I don't only think about the enjoyment that I get out of it. I can only imagine how it's impacting his life. So he just turned 18 yesterday. He wanted to come to the studio.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you, man.
That's some Aquarius shit. My birthday's next Wednesday.
And so, you know, I told him to come to the studio. And I was like, you know what? I would be remiss if I didn't have him as somebody that you speaking to, not ask you some questions.
Go ahead. I'm all ears, bro.
So Chuma Osei is on the Combat Jack show. Welcome to the Combat Jack show.
Thank you, man. All right, so I mean, I've been listening to you since 2009 when the warm up came out, and I was like 12 years old.
Damn.
He introduced me to your project, and I was like, "Yo, Lights, Please." That was my song for like the entire year. Like I'm pretty sure I was the only kid in my school who messed with you.
That's
at that
crazy.
time. And so like ever since then, like that project and like your next one, like when I heard your next one, I was like, you know, I was of course still a fan, but I was like,
You talking about Friday Night Lights?
No. I'm sorry.
You talking about the album?
The album.
Exactly.
I saw what you were trying to do, and I understand it was your debut album. But like, no disrespect, I was like a little disappointed, you know, because like I felt like, I mean, like your mixtape, like you were really like staying true to yourself, right? And with this project, I felt like, you know, with the singles, I mean, I understood, right? I like that you were trying to do what you were trying to do. Like you're trying to. You know.
Nah, you don't got to clean it up like that.
I know. I'm just trying to.
You don't got to understand.
I'm just trying to build context.
That's cool. It's all good.
Right? I heard Friday Night Lights. I was like, damn, Cole, this is what I wanted the album to be.
Well,
right?
Friday Night Lights was before the first album, but I understand. But I understand what you're saying. Like, I'm with you 100%.
That's what. And so recently, I saw you at Governor's Ball last year, and you know, I felt like the love, and I felt the love of the crowd. I felt the love and the energy from you. And I wanted to know like how that energy has increased and changed over the years as your fan base has grown and like
the love amongst the people from the people.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand what was I thought you were gonna ask a question about the album.
No, I mean like I'm sorry. Like I'm just saying like
you're nervous right now.
I'm a little nervous.
It's all right.
Don't be nervous,
man.
Don't be nervous.
I mean.
No, by the way, don't steer away from that question. I want to answer your question, where you were headed with the album. The first album was a disappointment for you.
Yeah.
You wasn't what you wanted.
Yeah. Don't freeze up, man. Don't freeze up.
You better say it, nigga.
All right. So, and then, you know, I heard Born Sinner. You know, that was like, I felt like it was really dark. I felt like you were in a dark place, but I still mess with it. But I also felt like something, you know, wasn't clicking still, you know, and I kept listening to Friday Night Lights, and like, I was like, this is like, you know, like, this is the Cole that I want to hear, like, on a bigger scale.
Yes.
And then 2014 Forest Hills Drive, like, that's when I heard that album, and I was like, this is the Cole that I wanted to hear. What like clicked at that moment? You know, what came together for you?
Yes, that's an amazing question. I'm glad you got there. It's a long answer, but I'll try to get right to the heart of it. What happened was release of attachment. When you heard the first album especially, but even a little bit on Born Sinner, which is why it was almost so close to me. But it's like, looking back, I'm like, I know where I fucked up on that too. You know what I mean? Even though I love the album, and it's like especially people love it. But I know what happened on that too. The difference between those two albums and this album, as well as the Warm Up and Friday Night Lights, was, especially on this album, there was a release of attachment that we talked about in the beginning of this show. Attachment and expectation of what I want.
Right.
And this type of success I want to have, and the type of accolades I want, and where I want them to put me on the list, and why they ain't talking. All of that shit that I was worried about, or are they gonna put my album out, which was the first, or is it gonna sell? They say I can't make a single. Can I make a single? All of these worries that were plaguing me on the first album, which then turned into, damn, I didn't get it off how I wanted to. Let me get it off how I want to on this one, which became Born Sinner. All of that trying to do something went away when I realized, hold the fuck up. It really just became being a man and learning some shit as a man myself. But that turned into me just going into making an album for me. Some shit I love, some shit that I want to do, some shit that I want to say, which was just like the warm-up, just like Friday Night Lights. That shit was that plus me being a hungry, starving artist who wanted these things. This was just me being a well-fed artist who just wants to create.
Yeah.
That was the difference. There was no attachment or expectations of any type of success. I let that shit go. If this shit flop, it's cool. I don't give a fuck. I already achieved some shit that I set out to achieve. You know what I mean? The rest is fucking bonus. I want to do this shit forever, God willing. But if not, I'm not going to go out trying to compete with Drake every fucking album. I ain't going to catch up to that nigga. That nigga's a fucking monster. You know what I mean? He's doing things that I can't and don't need to do. Why would I ever...
He's focused in his lane.
He's focused on his lane. He's mastered it. Why would I ever try to dip into his lane? You know what I mean? I realize these things. Well, I'm trying to keep up with anybody. Jay-Z, Kanye, who the fuck ever. It don't matter. Let me do the best me I can do and let God handle the rest. If the people love it, then they gonna love it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. I liked it. I loved it. So that's the difference that you hear. And I'm so glad you was brave enough to ask that question. You know what I mean? Because you're not the only one in the world that felt like that. Yeah. By the way, there's people in the world that's like, he's bugging. Born Sinner's a classic. You know what I mean? But I feel you, and I know exactly what you mean. Because if you was there from the beginning and you felt those words in the beginning, you know me. So because you know me, you can hear me. And when you hear me, it's like you know your son or you know your brother. You know when your brother's in a dark place. Just like you heard Born Sinner, you know, like, I see what he's doing. Because I know him. I see what he's doing. But damn, that ain't why I fell in love with him. I was going through it, you know what I mean? And God, grateful to God that on this album, I let all of that shit go. And I'm so glad you asked that question.
Do I have time for one more?
You got a couple more.
So a few months ago, I was in my religion and social justice class at school. And my teacher told me that like the rate at which a black man dies currently by like a white police officer is equivalent to that of a black man dying from lynchings back in the day. And so I wanted to ask you, in a time when, hope seems to be non-existent for black men in America, like what do you have to say to us? Like, do you like, I know it's hard to like give an answer because like something's like not working right. It's messed up right now. But like, what do you have to offer us to keep our heads up?
I'm going to say this, that we control our own destiny. We can. We haven't up to this point. We've been victims and we've been victimized. We are the effects of a long line of fucked up shit, of being stolen from our homes. history for being enslaved, whole entire history, religion, culture erased. Civilization erased. And there's a lot of excuses we can make for why we are where we are, and they would all be true. They would all be 100% true. And we could do that for the next 100 years and it would still be true. We sick. Like we are currently sick. You hear that sound? We currently sick. And there's excuses for that and there's reasons that the blame isn't placed on us for that. But we are also in control of our own destiny. So we have the power. We're gods, you know what I mean? We're like the first people of this planet. The original man. We gave the world civilization.
Culture,
science, music, science, reading, mathematics,
swag,
astronomy, swag, a lot of swag. That's all we're selling right now is swag. But back in the days, we was giving a lot more. My point is, we have a lot of power. Just as human beings. It ain't just black people. We all have power. But young black men, young black people in general have the power to control our own destiny. So we can decide today, right now, that we've been through a rough patch as a people. We can decide to no longer be victims and to now take matters into our own hands and come together and look at each other and love each other and unite and to build communities and to start our own schools and to figure out what we want to teach each other, the history we want to teach, and then group economics, spend our money with each other and like figure out that way. It's like things that we can do, we have the power to do that will really get us strong enough to then come in and unite with the world and then show the world the way. We could be the leaders of the world if we come together. You know what I mean? So there is hope. We just have to acknowledge the fucked up shit that's happened.
Keep it moving.
And keep it moving. So it's almost like somebody came through our crib. No, somebody came to our crib, stole us out our crib, took us like to a whole nother city, put us in another crib. We got used to living there.
What city? Cold city. Make it a cold city.
Yeah, it's Fayetteville. We was in Fayetteville. Somebody snatched us up, took us to Raleigh, put us in a house. We ain't know what the fuck was going on, but we got used to living here, even though shit was fucked up. We ain't make the mess.
The back house.
They coming through every day, fucking up the house, making a mess. And we like, by the time we realize it's a mess, we like, we dirty. Like, why we living so dirty? We forgot, it's been so long, we forgot that they fucked up the house. So all we got to do right now is say, we know why we here. We know why this house is dirty or why we here, period. Are we going to sit here and talk about how dirty this bitch is, or are we going to clean this up? Are we going, you know what I mean? We could start today. It's going to be a long journey to clean this nasty motherfucker up.
It's going to be a long today.
It's going to be, but we have the power. So I guess I'm rambling at this point. But the sentiment is that we got the power right now to come together and figure this shit out. This is the thing I want to say. I don't got it fucking figured out yet. Maybe next year I have an ill plan, but we talk about shit like this. And our execution ain't great, but our ideas are strong. And we got a group chat going. I was like, Black History Month, dog. Gotta respect the past. We gotta know the history. We gotta know where we come from, and not just the American Black history, but we gotta know that. But what's up with Black Future Month? We really need to start talking about where are we going. And included in that is Black history. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. Yeah. But why we don't ever talk about that? What's up with Black Future Month? We got to talk about where we go. Like, what's next? Where are we going to be in 5 years? It's going to be right here? Or are we going to start small and implement a system or some type of small system that's achievable, whether it be group economics, whether it be an education, whether it be a Big Brother program that we can all get involved in. Like, we can start right now, talk about the future so that we got these goals. In 5 years, we want to have, I was watching that St. Donahue thing I told you about.
Farrakhan.
And Farrakhan, this was in the 80s. Farrakhan said that if black people, with the black dollar, the amount we spend and generate, we're the 12th largest nation in the world. Just black people in America. And that was in the 80s. I don't know what it's like financially. Like, imagine if all of that money
stayed in the community.
And it's like, it's not on some hateful shit. It's just like, we trying to build ourselves up so we can have some self-respect. And then we can come in and really be brothers and sisters with the rest of the world. But we can't be brothers and sisters with each other right now. You know what I mean? I'm rambling, but shit, that's what I would say. Something like that.
All right. Thank you.
One more question. You're doing pretty good, son.
Yeah, it was a good question, man.
All right.
Combat Jack Jr.
Nah, Chumo say. as an aspiring musician also.
What do you play? You play?
I produce.
Nice.
I just got into NYU for music production.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fucking huge.
And so, it's so accessible. Music software and production tools and everything is so accessible for everyone to be a rapper, or a producer, or a musician, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you came here to New York. You camped out of Jay-Z's building, like office building, giving him a mixtape. But nowadays, like, what advice do you give to the musicians who are trying to cut through, all the BS and all the garbage that's out, that's like so overpopulated on the internet?
I say empower. We're in the day and age of empowering yourself. It wasn't like that when I was camping outside of Jay's office. We still believed that you needed labels. We still believed that you needed Universal and that you needed Sony and that you needed these guys. Because that's the way it was. We in a day and age today where it's like, if the music is real, and even if the music ain't real, you can still do it on your own. And what I would suggest is, especially if the music is real, because I don't like whatever, because everybody's going to say their music is real and it's the best. But what I would do, if I was upcoming right now, knowing what I know, I would start so small with my music and start amongst a circle of friends and do a show a week. That circle of friends, the first week might be 20 people. The next week, that shit might turn to 25. 3 weeks later, that shit might be 35. 2 months later, that shit might be 70 if you continue in the grassroots. 6 months later, that shit might be 120. A year later, it might be 300. 2 years later, you might have really clicked, and now you're doing 300 people in your city or 500 people in your city, and before you know it, you got a real movement of people that fuck with you, and you're doing the online work at the same time. I'm saying that there's no excuse, so that you don't have to wait on anybody no more. You can, maybe they'll come while you building your own shit, and that'll be cool too, but to sit around and like tweet me all day or like to hit you up and send your demos, it's like, man, that shit is backwards now. Take the shit into your own hands and let somebody find about you. When I was camped outside of Jay-Z shit, that shit ain't work. Right. I learned that quick. When that nigga didn't take my CD and told me to get the fuck on in so many words, it hurt me for 15 minutes, but then I realized it's not gonna happen like this. And the next year, a year later, full circle moment, he was calling for me to meet him because my shit ended up in his lap, because the world works like that. Right. You focus on what's important, the music and spreading your gospel. And it's like the right people will find you. The people you need will find you. You know what I mean? So that's what I say. There's no excuse. You do it. The power's in your hands. Ultimately, what's the goal?
Me? Just to be the best at what I do. Just making music, man.
That's attainable right now. If that's the goal, you can do that for free. Yeah. You know what I mean? And your goal is your goal. If your goal is to get ultimate number of fans, well, shit, come up with a plan, man. It'll change, but stick to that plan. Power, you got the power, man. We in that day and age. Internet is crazy, and word of mouth is crazy. Them two things combined.
Internet is crazy, B.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yo, Chumo, say thank you, man.
Pretty, that was a good question.
Pretty
man.
impressive. Cole, man, I got one more thing to say to you, man. Yesterday I spoke at his school, and it was I was called to speak on social justice and hip hop. So I went through the whole history of, like the message and the public enemies and a lot of yada yada yada. So at the end of the class, the teacher, one of the teachers in there, like in his 40s, it's like, I remember when music used to move me. I remember when, even as a white cat in Denver, when I heard Public Enemy, it moved me. And he asked me, he's like, is it possible in 2015 for this generation, for a rapper, for a hip hop artist, to move their generation? And my answer was, well, judging from 2014 Forest Hills Drives, it shows you that that's still possible. For sure. So I just wanted to thank you for that album once more.
That's a major compliment, man. I appreciate it. I'm like, bro, I'm blessed. You know what I mean? To like be here right now and like to get the love that I get in the streets is like, and if it wasn't there, I'd be a happy man. But that shit is icing on the cake. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's an honor to be in the seat.
Now, thank you so much, man. Anything else, man, before we
I don't know.
Before we wrap it up, Pete?
No. I mean, I'm going to add to it because, first of all, I definitely commend you. You're a stand-up dude, but most of all, what I really like about you is you're uplifting. You talk about good people in hip-hop, man, your name's got to be right in the top of that. Even to the point like that I made my daughter, who's a fan, 14 years old, who is in the studio tonight, Skylar, And she better wake up tomorrow morning for school. I'm gonna whoop that ass. But it's funny because I asked her, like, we said we had J. Cole on. She said, you know, I know she likes J. Cole. I said, why do you like J. Cole? And she told me, you know, I like him because he ain't talking what every other rapper is talking about.
How old is she?
14.
Damn.
So you know, it's special to see that, you know, like I'm sitting here saying like you're uplifting. You know, your movement is beautiful. I mean, Dreamville. I mean, these fucking people are nice people. You know what I mean? Your whole crew, your whole team is nice people.
What up, Felton?
No, that's real.
You know what I mean?
You,
so it's like, you know, man, you know, as a whole, we all wish you nothing but success. But real talk, man, you know, good dudes need to be appreciated, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And piggybacking off what you're saying, you asked me if there's anything I want to say. And it kind of goes back to your thing, too. So it's tying all of these together. Intention is so important. Intention. When you're making your music, when you're writing, what is your intention? So we talked earlier about them albums that maybe you didn't feel, or like the times when I really was, what was my intention? I remember writing raps before I ever had a deal thinking, yo, one day this is going to save somebody's life. Like this verse right here, I'm going to talk to a girl who's going through this right now and it's going to say, that was the intention of the verse and of the song. Or this song right here is going to help somebody get out of this situation right here. Or even on this album. So I think intention is a very important word. It's like, what are you doing it for? Ultimately, what's more important? Is it the money? Is it the fame? Is it the accolades? Is it the comfort? Is it the impact? You know what I mean? And I would die happier, broke and impactful than rich and like uninspiring.
Don't go broke though.
Nah, that's not the plan.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Intention, man. But that's it.
J. Cole, thank you very much, man.
My man, thank y'all, man. This is fucking dope. How long was this shit? 8 hours?
Yo, Jonathan Mena, how long, man? Under 2 hours? Oh,
Under
okay.
2?
It seems longer.
He
Right?
said 2 hours. We got a sign right there. 2 hours.
What's the longest joint?
The longest joint
Chuck
was
D.
Chuck D.
People listen to the whole shit?
The whole shit. No.
If you listening right now, holy shit, man. We fuck with you, man. We can't fucking believe you made it all the way to the end of this shit.
Felton told us he listened to the Chuck D episode 4 times.
That's
The episode
yeah,
was
3 hours.
3.5 hours. 3 hours and
45 minutes.
45 minutes?
That's correct.
That's a
I
long
gotta listen to
episode.
that. I gotta listen to
It's
that.
crazy. But thank you so much, man.
Big
I really
shout out to
appreciate
Felton.
this.
Brother.
Big shout out to Felton and your whole team. Ibrahim. I mean,
By the way, Felton did, I seen some online where they fucked up what he did. He did the cover, man, for Forest Hills Drive, and he also did the Friday Night Lights. He did the whole packaging for Forest Hills Drive and also Friday Night Lights. So I want to give my man his credit because they think he doing some web shit. Nah, he did the album design, and that nigga, 2 classics under his belt, he fucking designed. That ain't nothing
pop
to
your
sneeze-
collar, my
That
dude.
ain't nothing to
Yeah,
sneeze at,
pop
man.
your collar, my dude.
Shit.
That ain't nothing
Yo,
to
Pete,
sneeze
what do
at.
you think, man?
Man, listen, this is going to be another great episode. Like I said just a moment ago, J. Cole, man, it's good to see good people win, man. You're talented and you're uplifting the kids. I mean, this is amazing. Like, Combat got like some fucking counseling family session going on. But real talk, man, blessings. And, you know, just keep doing what you do, man.
Thank you, brother.
Internets, you know what it is. Dream those dreams and man up and live those dreams. Because a life without dreams is black and white and the universe flows in technicolor and surround sound.
Blow. Cheer. J. Cole.
This episode of the Combat Jack Show was produced by Jonathan Mena, executive produced by A. King and Chris Morrow, engineered by Samir Karan, and recorded in the Engine Room Audio Studio in downtown Manhattan. This is an official Loudspeakers Networks production.